Yo, take my headset off. Let me take my headset off. What's goody? I swear you do it to me on purpose. That's funny. Damn, bro, I haven't been updated in Ordeal for like 2 months. I got a video catalog. Go check the, what is it called? Oh, let me remember the word. Go check the playlist. All the reviews is there. 5 episodes. What's good, Jalen? Bro needs to watch the vids. Facts. Facts. All right, y'all. So, felt like streaming today. I was watching a lot of anime earlier. A lot of anime. I finished Windbreaker, I think last night. So, I started To Be Hero X. The anime's pretty gas. Not gonna lie, I'm enjoying it a lot. I got some other anime I'm gonna get into when I finish that. I've been watching Fairy Tail while I've been at work. But I definitely got some other anime I'm gonna get into. Today's stream, I might play Sifu, I might play Tekken. Actually, I think I will play Sifu to see like what we can do against Karoki. But this stream is mostly just like a chill chat stream, you know, just to like chat and vibe. I do got some I can show y'all that we can talk about for like a little bit. It's like a little subject. You know how I like to what is the word? Not playing. On space. Wow. I'm blanking right now. Hold up. Oh, y'all know how I like to get my videos chapters. I like to do the same thing with the streams. Section them up, you know? And so shout out to Foss the Exorcist, aka I think it's Dojo. I don't think it's Dojo, but I call him Dojo. If you're watching this, shout out to you, bro. Let me go ahead and find that picture he sent me. Now I'm pretty sure this actually came from a TikTok creator. Where is that folder at? No. It's supposed to be a folder that says future topics. I'm not sure where that folder went. I look like an idiot. Oh, it's right there. It's right there. It's right there. Okay, so that one. Wait. It's been a minute since I caught a stream. I'm gonna go watch your vids and catch up with FastPass. Though I haven't touched Windbreaker Season 2. You might as well, bro. It just keeps going. You might as well. I don't know who made this. When do you think Shay is gonna use the Eye of Time? He doesn't have it yet, so Season 4. He doesn't have it yet, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know why everybody thinks he does. It's kind of pissing me off. Not gonna lie. I'm not sure where y'all get that notion from. We've seen Shay get every power up he has, even the most recent one. So why would we not see him get the Eye of Time? Doesn't make sense. Ever think about updating the background, the background image? Nah. Not for a while. Bro, is Galliard dead? Probably. I'm not gonna lie, he's probably dead. Does it bother me? Not really. He showed it during the after. Oh my gosh. How many times do I have to tell y'all? That was his blue flames. His eye changes color in correspondence to his flames. That was blue. His eye was blue. It's not green. It's not green. It's blue. In fact, it's a very clearly different hue from every other green we've seen. So it's not green, it's blue. How Hondro so OP, bruh, damn. Hondro was kind of always OP. You ain't watched the video I did? Let me chill. Hondro was kind of always clutch. He's just more clutch because of Vale's blood. I don't know why Vale's blood is so cracked, but I don't know. Here we go. Ordeal readers don't read Ordeal. Hey man, y'all, you said it. You said it. But I do have a subject we can discuss. Like I said, I'm pretty sure the image I'm gonna show is actually from a TikTok creator, because I've seen somebody else do or like use an image like this. So I'm probably gonna do these like every now and then, you know. But I think I'm gonna start doing like shorts, like YouTube shorts, in relation to like subjects like this, you know. No, I'm reading the chats first before I watch your vids. Good, that's good. I don't do recaps anymore, so go ahead and do that. It's a great idea. Wonder who else benefits a lot from Vale's blood. I wonder who. I mean, the fall is benefit from his blood. That was an inside joke. What he said was an inside joke. All right, y'all. Let's get into this. Let's get into this right here. Let's get into this right here. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's get into it. So I recently saw somebody else. Oh, the Gothies. It was an inside joke. That's what he meant. It was an inside joke. He wasn't being serious. It was rhetorical. So I saw somebody else. I actually don't remember his name. But shout out to Bro, who like also did a video discussing matchups. The scar glowed green, just like in the flash forwards. Come on, y'all, read. All right, since we want to go into this subject, let's actually just look at the chapter then, because actually look at the chapter and then like look at other examples. Kevin clears Sabito. Let me get into it. Damn. Let me get into it. Are you streaming? This is blue. You see how is blue right here? The scar glowing doesn't matter. This is blue. You wanna know why it's blue? Because this is blue. You wanna know why these are blue? Because these guys are here, but these guys are here. And she's here. And he's here. You see what I'm saying? So again, this is blue because this is blue. And this is blue because she's here. You see, so one more time. This is blue because this is blue. And why are these blue? Why are these blue? You know, I actually think. Hold on. Let me look at something else. Just to see if the scar comment like it can be disproven. Just to see. I wanna make a point. I'll make a point. So if we look at his face and we see the color of his eye corresponding to the flames, but we also see the flame color resonate on this part of his eye as well. So if we want to use a scar as proof that it's the Eye of Time, we can't. So again, this is blue because these are blue. Because, you know, he's here. And she's here. And he's here. And he's here. Did we forget? Did we forget? Did we forget the reason that that this is even this color? That he even has this to begin with? Or are we? And like I said earlier, we've seen Shay get every power up he has. We just saw him get the purple flames. Before that, we saw him tame Zahara. Before that, we saw him get the blue flames. Before that, we saw him create Tomas. Before that, we saw him create Acantio. Before that, we saw him unlock Ilios. What are we doing? What are we talking about? What are we doing? So Shay isn't actually buff versus Jose? Nah, that's all him. Jay's gonna lose it already, and it's not seafood related. Facts, because I hear this, I see this all the time, and I don't get it. It pisses me off. It's green, but I'll digress. It's not, but you know, it's actually not green at all. Unless you want to do like a color matcher. Let's see if we can do that actually. Let's see if we can do that. Wait. I clicked on the wrong thing. But if you look at my starting stream picture, that green ain't even the same as this color. That's not even close to the same color. It's not even close to the same color. It's not even close. But if you want to do something like a color matcher, like let's just do like that. Just like a color match. Or no. What is it called? How many chaps till Ordeal finished? I don't think it's that many. I think it's like 11 maybe. I think it's like 11. I don't know. Maybe 10. The fast pass guys know. Brent being there talking. All right, hold up. Let's go to the first episode. Actually, yeah, it's right here. I'm tripping. Brent is very consistent with color, by the way. So to say it's the eye of time when it doesn't match colors like in any capacity, genuinely, it's kind of crazy. And we're not even going to use the one on Masato has. We can just use the one Shay has. So just for clarification, this is not the same color as this, okay? I want you to understand that. This and this, not the same color. Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that? Just trying to bring some discussion to a YouTuber I watch chill out. I don't know if he's talking to y'all or me, but this not the same color. It's not the same color. Can we agree on this, please? What's good? It's good. It's good. It's good. Nara. See you in the chat too. I think the eye is slowly changing color, similar to what we saw before. That's not how that works. That's not how it works at all. That's not even close to how it works. Because if that was the case, the dull eye would be changing colors already. And it would have went from orange to green instead of orange to blue. Because it's not the same color. But if we wanna get a little specific, Trying to see if I can do like a hue thingy, like something like this. Something like this. Something like this. Oh, I can only do it on the page. I can't do it off the page. It's kind of trash. It's kind of trash. I'm trying to see if I can do it off the thing. You get the idea though. You saw the point. You saw the point. Got a vocalist. Could be getting a Chrono Flame type of John. That'd be interesting. Obviously, it's not the same color. Was good. So I'm seeing some new names in here. Hello from Trinidad. Hey, what's goody? Don't hate on me for saying Trinidad and not for saying Tobago and not Tobago. Don't hate on me. Somebody was trying to hate on me a while back for that one. You just showed a picture of Masato's eyes changing. It would be blue to green. It would be orange to green because Shay's eyes are orange. It wouldn't be blue. The eye color signifies his changing and use of the blue flames, which he's actually seen in past episodes. So the eye color would change from orange to green, not orange to blue. Orange to blue would just be blue flames. Orange to green would be, the Eye of Time. And we also don't even know how the Eye of Time operates. And every time Shay uses it, it doesn't change color. It just is. It just exists. So there likely wouldn't even be a color change. Very likely wouldn't be a color change because it just is. It always is. That's why his eye is always closed. Shout out Masato. See, he changes color here because it's his talent. But every time we see Shay, he already has it. He already has it. And it's very consistent for Shay to keep his eye closed. So that was me way back. Oh, I wasn't hating. It's just a common mistake people make when saying Tobago. No, it wasn't even you. It wasn't you. It was actually the person under you. It was the person under you. Fast pass people on DC always fighting, bruh. That's funny. It was the person under you. Because if I said it the correct way, I would be forcing an accent, and that's just not cool with me. That's not cool with me at all. That's not how I vibe. That'd be scenery. But yeah, not the same color. And when we actually see the Eye of Time be acquired, I'll be so hyped because it'll prove everybody else wrong. But I digress. Let's look at these matchups. Y'all. Let's look at this one. Let's look at these. Now, some of these are easy. Some of these are no, not you. I mean, it was a comment, not like in the chat. It was a comment. This is an old video too, probably like earlier this year. So some of these are easy, some of these are difficult. So let's look at the easy ones. Top one. This is one-sided. Even if we disregard what Shay just acquired, we have a Shay and an Abel, and this is the seemingly the. If you want to use the Abel that already killed the first table, it's even worse. But if you want to use the one that fought, or that fought the first table, Shay would just be better support, or like he would be support for Shay, right? So we know that Shay wasn't being boosted by Zahara, so we can't even say he would be boosted. But like I said, so like if we just take away that, because I don't think Shay would use it, at least in this moment, against these specific individuals. We already have a Shay with a higher state than Leo. This is also a Shay that hasn't just been trained by Leo, so even if you want to do like a Leo knows everything Shay would do, Shay is also trained by Bjorn, so that'll add to it overall as well, right? We don't know what Kevin can do. We just kind of have to assume he'll do something. But I mean, we've seen Shay's shields kind of tank and deal with Kevin's chi already, so his attack shouldn't be so much greater that Shay's shield wouldn't work, right? You know. We also have Vinter. Leo will know how to combat Vinter for sure, since he is the one who gave it to Bjorn. So Vinter won't be too much of an issue. I think Leo also knows how to use a sword adjacent weapon in Ilios Claymore, but he also knows like the kick dart type of fighting. He wouldn't use it here, in my opinion. I think he'd actually go for like a Claymore. So that'd be an interesting fight with like Shay fighting Leo with their sort of signature weapons, right? But I think Shay's too high up to just say that Leo could really compare. I feel like Shay's already at a point. And even if you wanted to argue that like Ilios wouldn't be as effective, we know Shay's stamina is crazy, but he also has the Thanatos body, which will keep, empowering him forever, right? So outside of just Ilios, we already know that Shay alone, with just the raw chi that comes from the ether and Zahara, he has a lot. So it's just bad. It's just bad, right? We don't know what Kevin can do. But I feel like their synergy would be really good. But like if it's the Able that already took out the first table, it's just horrible for them. It's just so bad. But even if it's not that Able and it's the one beforehand, it's not any better because he also has the stone. So he can just dip in and out of the Merlin dimension anywhere at any point in time. And if you wanted to make the argument, he could dip into the Merlin dimension and bring one of them with him. Now it's a one-on-one for both parties, right? So let's just say he wanted to have, so we could make the argument that Abel would want to fight Leo off the simple fact that Thanatos lost to Leo already in Kane. So then it would be Shay versus Kevin, and I mean, I don't really know what Kevin gonna do against Shay, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I don't got no arguments for him. He has no showcases. So what are we gonna say he's gonna do? It's just not bad. It's just bad. But like Shay already technically has more usage of Ilios than Leo. And then on top of that, he has Zahara, and on top of that, he has Vinter, and on top of that, he has a Thanatos body. So, and on top of that, so Shay technically is a Gaki because he has double the chi. By a technicality, he has double the chi of what even they have. So it's like, you know what I mean? So even if it came down to like endurance, generally speaking, I don't think Kevin and Leo got it. Like I don't think he got it, bro. It's just bad. I don't want to say it's bad, but it's not good. And if we wanted to say like if one of them dies, Abel's only gonna get stronger. Like he's only gonna get stronger, and then that makes the fight that much harder for the next person, right? Because now they're 2v1ing with a newly amped Abel. That's just bad. It's just bad, bro. It's just bad. Like now you could also make the argument that Shay would need the new purple flames to deal with Kevin since he's just chi. Like we don't know if Kevin can take natural damage, right? So even if beforehand Shay couldn't damage Kevin, definitively he can now. Like he can definitively attack Chi. And since Kevin is literally just Chi in an outer shell, there's nothing Kevin can do against that. Just nothing he can do against that, right? So I'm gonna give this top one to Shay and Abel. I think it'd be an interesting fight between Shay and Leo. I think it'd also be an interesting fight just between Abel and Leo. I'm kind of discounting Kevin a little bit because we don't really have much to go off for him. So, didn't Shay also just acquire another cursed weapon? No, you read that wrong. I'm not really sure where that notion came from. Somebody said that I'm not sure if it was you or somebody else that said that in the comments, but of the video, but that don't make sense. I also think Kevin and Leo would put up a pretty good fight. I think it'd be good. I just don't think they can win. I definitively don't think they can win. Shay collecting flames like the rainbow. That's funny. I don't think we know. Wait, but I don't know. Wait, hold on. Let me go up. Let me go up further. How do you think a fight between the Iron Gaki and Bjorn would go? I can talk about that later. Y'all, they have cyborgs. Why else would we be hiding the eye? I don't know what the point of that's supposed to make. I think it'll be a greater enemy than the Gaki coming. Well, I mean, the only person above the Gaki is Thanatos and Veil, and right now Veil's nothing, so it's really just Thanatos. The question really is what will Thanatos have that causes Shay to need something like the Eye of Time? I feel like Kevin clears alone. That's actually a crazy statement. I'm not gonna lie. This is why reading in order is important. Because you said, now you think they put up a pretty good fight, but I don't think they would win at all. Specifically because I don't know what Kevin can do, but also Shay just acquired something that definitively strips Kevin of his entire power. Like his entire being can just be erased because of Shay. And then that just leaves it a 2v1 against Leo, and that's regardless of how strong and how skilled Leo is. That's not a good fight, because even if you want to say all three of them were on the exact same level, that's still two people on his level that he has to fight, and one of them just took out the other guy with a talent slaying fire, right? Like that's crazy. Could Zahara double Shay's innate chi, or would that be too overpowered? I mean, I don't like that's like asking if you can double infinity. You know what I mean? Like, what would that do? Essentially, like, yeah, I feel like that's a good comparison. Like, he would just be doubling infinity, because like the ether is already a vast space of chi, so you would just be doubling a vast space of chi that's already vast. Like, it's kind of pointless. Like, it's kind of pointless. It wouldn't even be overpowered. It just does nothing that it didn't do already, essentially. Did Shay also acquire another curse weapon? No, he used Veil's dagger to cut his arm off to stop the curse of Widow's Night from infecting his entire body. If he didn't, he'd die. That's all that did. He didn't acquire anything cursed, any new curse weapons. He was fighting the cursed, but the blood and attack from Veil's dagger hindered his focus, so the curse could overpower and take more of his arm. So he had to cut it off. That's all it was. All right, moving on. I actually want to skip this one. I want to talk about this one last, because I want to talk about the easy fights first. Fox and Iron Gaki versus Jose and Jack. This doesn't make sense. Can Zahara boost other talent weapons? Potentially, but we just can't tell. I want to say yes, but I can't say definitively. Was good, the boss kid. Is that a cow? Oh no, that's a picture. I'm tripping. That's not a cow. I can't see the pictures very good on my screen. Fox Gaki and Iron Gaki versus Jose and Jack. This is also a bad fight. This is just not good. And there's very, very clear reasons this fight is not good. He isn't on either of their levels. Like, he could damage him, but that does nothing because he's immortal. Him alone is just bad because he's immortal. He can't die, right? Like, he can't die. He's kind of unfair. But like, even if you can kill him, we don't even know what he can do. But based on just on his title alone, he's already above Jose. Jose isn't a Gaki until he uses his transformation, but he's a Gaki off of just base stats, basically. I mean, I don't really know. Like, you can't. There's nothing you can argue that these guys can do that would hinder them. Like, we know Berto gets larger, so like, if we wanted to split it up into 1v1s, it would be Jack versus the Iron Gaki, and then Max Jose versus the Fox versus Berto. Jack cannot kill him. He can't. He's immortal. He's already dead, and now he's just an undead entity. There's nothing Jack can do, and Jack will tire out before him. We don't like Jack's kit doesn't allow him to do anything that can like trap him or contain him or anything like that. So he's just gonna die. Like Jack is gonna die. If we do Berto versus Jose, that was just two kaijus fighting, and it's like, well, if Jose is a Gaki when he uses his transformation, how much stronger is Berto when he uses his, right? I can't really say that Jose definitively would be able to overpower somebody who's ranked higher than him definitively. Right? Is that fair to say? I feel like that's kind of fair. I feel like that's fair. Like, if Berto in theory is comparable to Jose when he's transformed, when Berto uses his own transformation, it's just not gonna. It should tip the scales in his favor, right? Doesn't make sense, right? So this is just a wash. This is bad. This is really bad, honestly. And he makes it unfair, but he's not helping him to offset the like imbalance this matchup has. So we're gonna give it to Berto and the Iron Gaki. Let me look at the chat real quick. You said you reread it, and of course I was right. I try to be as correct as possible. I'm not saying I'm right all the time, but I try to be correct more often than not. What do you think Brent will do with Vinter? What potential does Shay have with Vinter? I mean, he doesn't need to. It's just an ice weapon. That's all it is. There's nothing more he can do with it. I mean, we've already seen what Shay does with it, and it's similar to what Bjorn did with it. Vinter is just an ice axe. It's like if you had to compare Vinter to something, think of the Leviathan axe from God of War. That's all it is. It's just in Shay's hands. That's all it is. It doesn't do anything. It's not supposed to be overpowering. Only Shay and Bjorn can use it, right? Like, Shay has enough chi to handle it, but he also has a talent to not be frozen by it. That's all, right? I got a theory. Oh, what's up, Sandman? I got a theory that Fox Gaki can regenerate like crazy because in Myth, Ninetales got more tails the longer they live. I know that don't cleanly correlate. It doesn't correlate at all, actually. It doesn't correlate even a little bit. I get the point you're trying to make, but it doesn't correlate. Unless you wanted to say, since he's based off the Ninetail Fox, we know that like Kurama and Naruto had pretty good regeneration. Like he could help Naruto regenerate. You could say it like that, but like the tails that the Kitsune have in Myth relate to power and experience. So, I mean, technically they can have regeneration, but the correlation wouldn't be accurate at all. But I get what you're trying to say. I think he has good regeneration anyway because he can regrow his arm. Like that's what you should have said. Because he doesn't have an arm and then he transforms and he has an entire arm. What you miss, we were talking about how Shay doesn't have the Eye of Time, but a lot of people think he does because of 128. Not sure how that happened. We just talked about this matchup at the top. Shay and Abel clear. Probably be slightly difficult, maybe low mid difficulty, but it shouldn't be too high. Maybe, or you want to do mid to high difficulty, but come on, let's be real. And now we just talked about Fox Gaki and Iron Gaki versus Jose and Jack. These guys clear, and it's not even a fight. This is just bad. Do you think any of the Cubs will receive a talent weapon? No. Andrea's whole thing is talent weapons, so she already has some. Lewis just died. Azam has his golden weapon already. He's not going to get anything new, in my opinion. Doesn't make sense. Yukiko just got her father's blades, so, and those aren't talent objects inherently, so no. And then what's his name? Tevin can make a hammer of keratin, so he doesn't need a talent weapon, in my opinion. Like, I don't. Am I missing somebody? No, I don't think I'm missing it. Oh, Anton. Anton also already has a weapon, so it's like they already have weapons that they use. They don't need a talent weapon that kind of makes them different, I guess. Especially Anton. Anton's talent has a talent. He's one of the only characters. He's like the only character like that we've seen. So it doesn't make sense. So it doesn't make sense to. Wait, what was my point? Oh, it doesn't make sense to give him something different, basically, like, or a different weapon. Like, he basically has a talent weapon in the form of the rods, right? If you want to look at it that way, would it make sense? You could give somebody like Tevin a talent object or a talent weapon, but his kit by nature is supposed to be very versatile, so I don't think he needs anything like that. We also, like I just said, we've seen him create weapons and shields, so he doesn't really need anything like that. There's also, like I said, Yukiko just got her father's blades. Honestly, the only thing she needs is like 3 sword style from Zoro. That's all she needs. What's up, Emmeline? How are you doing, child? Does anyone think Andrea will gain a new talent weapon? She kind of has to. What's up, Echo? Nocturnal Order. She kind of has to get a new weapon because her strongest was taken. So like she needs something that offsets her now power imbalance, right? Brent too good of a writer to not even show him getting the eye. That's what I'm saying. We've seen him get every other power up. Why would we not see him get the Eye of Time? That's the point I made, right? I think the Fox Gaki could have a golden form like Kurama's avatar. I hope not. Only because it'd be too like not obvious, it'd be too clear what he's pulling it from. It wouldn't be original, in my opinion. That's why I like his design. It's not like Berto's design or the Fox Gaki's design. Like when he transforms, it's very, I want unique-ish. Feels unique-ish. Thanatos equals 3 great powers, so I'm struggling to see how does Shay surpass this. He needs more, as Ilios is capped because he can't use. So that's the thing. So Thanatos equals 3 great powers. That's a really good point. So Shay technically already has the chi of Thanatos. So that's kind of like 1 great power. Shay also has Ilios now, right? That's another great power. And then if you want to say the Eye of Time, that would be his 3rd great power. So that means that Shay will eventually have 3 great powers that equate to Thanatos. I'm actually very glad you said that. So that actually helps me, in my opinion. That helps me kind of internalize why Shay needs the Eye of Time now. But yes, there's also, what's good, Links? Yeah, it wouldn't be original enough. So yeah, if Shay needs 3 great powers to equate to Thanatos, then Shay already has 2 of the 3. He has one of the brothers. That's one of the talents that directly equates to Thanatos, at least at a base level, right? Before Thanatos can actually grow further. And then he has Thanatos' own physical capabilities. He has his own innate body and the chi that comes from it. So now he has just as much chi as Thanatos can even have himself, right? So that would be 2. And then there's the Eye of Time, which relates to his own family origins and things like that. And that has temporal capabilities, right? Chrono, things related to time, of course. So that would be another great power. And that's also a power that only a heart can wield, and that has a physical drawback that we've seen. So that would be 3 great powers. We can even include Zahara in there because she should have chi on par with Ilios, and she can boost a talent. So she would make, at the very least, she would make Ilios, which we already seen, stronger, and she would make the Eye of Time. She could make the Eye of Time stronger, right? Very glad you brought that up, though. That'd be amazing. He also has more innate chi because of the Thanatos body, though, so he wouldn't need more innate chi. He already has it. Which god tier do you see dying by the end of the story? Same with the Gaki. I really can't tell. I'm kind of hoping a lot more of them die. So like somebody like Kevin, if Kevin got I plan on doing a season review. I already have a fair amount of notes. I'll even show y'all just to give y'all a sneak peek at like my noting process. Just know that like I'm not kidding around. Like this is very serious for me. I have a fair amount of notes for this season review, right? So if Kevin got more shine, I would definitively say him, but I think Kevin should die anyway. That's just me though. Um, that's just me though. I think somebody like Berto is personally like I think he's okay dying. We don't a lot of the Gaki and a lot of the God tier we don't know anything about because we haven't been given enough time with them. So I can't say who should die and who who I think it makes the most sense to. But if I had to pick, Kevin can go. Kevin can go. We know Kofi's gonna fight. So it's kind of a toss up if he will die. I personally don't care. It's not a big bother to me. It's okay if he goes. I don't care if he stays. Right? He's not somebody I want to see anyway. Right? I think Minamoto should die. And I think Minamoto dying makes sense so that we can get a character like Orion, a chance to fully blossom as a god tier, especially since he has one of the highest innate cheese, essentially, right? Somebody like him should just blossom, right? And it would be really good if Minamoto or Orion kind of took Minamoto's talent and that now he has that god tier level talent as an IM forever. That makes sense to me. So I think Minamoto should die so that we can see his hand actually prosper, right? And become a god tier. After Minamoto, Abijah, or technically before, but Abijah, I don't care enough for or about him to definitively say yes or no. I don't know. I can't be like I think he should die or I don't think he should die. I feel like it's okay if he dies, but I don't think it does anything for me personally if he does. I feel Nauni, he has an opinion that Abijah will be Azam's fight. That's fine. I don't really care. That interaction could have been set up this season if that's the case. So if Abijah dies, it doesn't bother me. Somebody like Bree, I don't care if she dies either, but I also don't care if she lives. Like, I don't care. Same with Reed. I don't care. Like he can die, he may not die. I think it'd be interesting if he did die because we have to wonder what would happen to the children, right? That's the only thing. If he does die, like how are the children gonna grow from it? I feel like if a character dies, it's sort of like what does that death do for the other character or other characters involved? That's why Minamoto dying makes sense because we can have his power be given to Orion in a very unique way. This is tough. You talking about the audio? I hope so. But then we look at somebody like what's his name? The blind guy Mikhail. I think Mikhail should die. I think he should die. I don't want him to because he's one of the characters I want to see, but I think it makes sense for him to die out of anybody. I can't really explain that, but I feel like it makes sense. And then there's somebody like Zuri. I want to see Zuri, but I don't really care if she dies either. And then there's Tao. Tao just became a god tier, so it's like he shouldn't die at all. And this would kind of go for all of the Gaki. Like we don't even know what all of the Gakis look like, so I can't even guesstimate who should die or who would die or why it makes sense for them to die because we don't know what they look like. At least not all of them. We know some of them, but I don't really want to speak on them because some of them are fighting supposedly, or one of them is fighting supposedly right now. So I won't speak on that. Hopefully I answered your question. Let me read chat real quick. Right, wait, hold on. Do you think the Fox Gaki will also have a mini fox like Kong? No. Was good garbage tea bag. I don't know why it gives y'all names like that. I feel like that's not what your name is, unless it is. I mean, I know who you are, but that's not the point I'm making. With Shay as a slayer of talents now, who in your opinion could legitimately defeat him? Legitimately, I think Thanatos still has is the only option, and I think the only real way for anybody to defeat him outside of Thanatos is like somebody like Vayal, who's like stronger, but the the purple flames would have to have a sort of like constraint, because if he can just use them outright at any given time, um nobody can defeat him, in my opinion. And that's kind of what Brent is going for, but we're it's too soon to say that. Like, it shouldn't be that way right already, right? So I think Sahara will kind of like actively choose when to use that sort of ability. Um and I feel like that's fair because she's the one who was withholding her ability anyway. That would be the constraint, and she would choose like when it's okay for Shay to use it, right? I like that idea. I hope that kind of is what goes on, because outside of that, nobody can defeat him. Like, you realistically, unless you want to tie in the lesson of mercy, which I think we will see, there's no real reason for Shay not to just outright destroy a talent, right? Outright destroy it. Unless he only uses that purple flame for curses, right? But we know Shay uses just the regular Ilios fire in the future, so we really have to wonder what is the sort of thing that keeps him from deciding why, when to use the purple flames, right? You think that Shay is getting framed in the future as humanity's greatest enemy since he not only evil like that, since he's not. Um, I think so, but I think there might be like a not like a twist, but something we aren't really accounting for. Like, I can't really say. I do think like I think the story so far is kind of painting from our perspective like he's not as bad as like the rest of the world would see him as, but technically he did kill everybody. So I mean, at any given point, who knows when he would just do something like that? So like from their perspective, he would be humanity's greatest enemy. But from our perspective, it's like we know it's purposeful and intentful. Do you feel like it's negative that we didn't spend enough time with a god tier Gaki in the first table? Absolutely. There's no positive reason for us to not know more about them as individuals. Basically, the main thing I'm getting, the god tiers aren't really important since we haven't gotten enough screen time with them. They're important. It's just that they're not as important as they are being portrayed to be, in my opinion. I think Mikhail dies because of the promise he gave to Code that he will die if Shay does something crazy. I think so too. I think it's just fair to like have him die like that, but I feel like the time for that has already passed. Like, if it's gonna happen, like it kind of already should have. I think Brent's gonna show us all the god tier talents before they die, because it would be disappointing otherwise. I mean, yeah, he did that with Lewis, and he said, but it's to a point where it's like, even if we see their talents, are they as individuals kind of deserving of the title? Because I have characters that if we just said we're on the same level as the GT, would probably beat them in a general sense. Like, are they as individuals deserving of the rank they have, or is somebody beneath them who just doesn't have the same amount of chi, more deserving, right? You know, that's kind of how I see it. Like, we'll see their talents and we'll see their capabilities, but will they live up to the expectations of being a god tier or a hand, right? Because, like I said, somebody like Orion with Minamoto's talent, like as a consistent use in his kit, is just amazing conceptually. But like when he actually fights, or if he actually fights, when we see him, will it be living up to that standard? My biggest concern is we are 3 seasons in. God tier need focus. I think Brent should take season 4 to focus on God tier and Gaki conflict, in my opinion. 6 GT should die and 4 Gaki, as I think Shay kills most Gaki. I don't like that idea. Well, I should say I don't like the last sentence, because I don't want Shay to be the one to do it. I'd rather it be a clash between the Titans, sort of thing. I do think. Yeah, but we are 3 seasons in with lack of like character focus. This is a point I'm gonna make in the season review, so like don't worry about that. I'll mention it. It's not something I can gloss over, but it's also something I want to talk about myself. So, but yeah, I don't know how he'll do season 4. I think it's just this season has kind of thrown off how we can predict what the series will look like moving forward, especially because hold on, I just lost my train of thought. I'll predict how we'll see. Oh, especially because these are just past events. Like anything we could say could, in theory, technically just not be true because the future or what we are seeing as a future is already there present, right? So these events are set in stone, yet what we see could technically be ever changing, right? Um, Purple Flame plus Eye of Time. Shay is too broken. I wonder how Brent will handle his power when facing Gaki and possibly God tiers. Maybe they have some sort of counter. Mm, yeah, Shay's literally just an anomaly, so he's like too strong. He's too strong already. I'm almost. I feel like I'm supposed to say committed. Oh, I almost commented Kofi's power. I forgot that was fast pass. Um, I know part of it, but keep that elsewhere. Maybe when the series is done, he'll have time to expand on their characters and impact on the story. The problem is like if the series is over, there's no point in doing that. Like he, it just wouldn't make sense. Like that's like writing a whole. That's like writing a 3 series book, right? With its own expansive lore and then expanding on every character in a separate book or in an interview. It's like, what was stopping you from doing that within the book or the books? Hope those 3 to 4 episodes at the end of the season show us something. I'm hoping so too. We're definitely getting something interesting. The people I talk to tell me things, not like spoilery things, but more like kind of like a be ready type of thing, you know? And I know like they talk about it, they're talking about it a lot, with me excluded because I don't read as far ahead as they do. Do you think Bjorn would have been able to defeat the Iron Gaki if they would have fought? Okay, yes, let's get back to this comment. The problem is, so I think Bjorn is just definitively stronger than the Iron Gaki. A lot of people can damage him. The problem is he just can't die. Like he can't die, right? So I think Bjorn has consistent AP to deal with him. In a general sense. So like if he wasn't immortal, like yeah, he'd win. But because he's immortal, it's like what can Bjorn do to stop him from being a problem, right? Um, the only thing that Bjorn can do objectively is to trap him in ice. The real question is how long or how often can he do that for the Iron Gaki to be considered defeated? Because he can't die. Like he can't die. He'll just come back. So can Bjorn, like if it were like a tournament, can Bjorn defeat the Iron Gaki? Yes. The question is when do we as individuals consider the Iron Gaki as defeated? So in my opinion, he can, but how many like traps or how many traps will last until the Iron Gaki is essentially tired, or he doesn't have any more chi to run on, right? So simple answer yes, broader answer meh. How does anyone think? Wait, how does anyone think talents will showcase planet destroying feats? The Merlin dimension is actually a really easy way to do that. Technically, it's not hard for like we've seen stars. Well, we haven't seen it. We've heard of stars being pulled apart, so that's already an above planetary feat. We've seen Shay cut the moon in half, so it's not hard to kind of like do it in a way where the actual planet isn't destroyed, but the implication is very high, right? So let's just say 2 characters fought in the Merlin dimension, right? We don't know how big this dimension is, but it's supposedly as big as the planet itself, considering Thanatos with it can go anywhere on the planet. That would imply that it's the same size as the planet. So let's just say Shay and Thanatos fought inside the Merlin dimension. If Shay or Thanatos, when fighting each other, if they were to say, like, if a sort of statement were to say, that attack or the effects of that attack shook the Merlin dimension, that same thing would apply to the planet, right? That attack or the aftermath or something shook the dimension. You could also say that, let's just say one of them, let's just say their fight destroyed the Merlin dimension, or one of them destroyed the entire dimension. That same thing would apply to the planet, right? Um, how they would escape that, who knows? But it's not impossible. It's just hard to do if you want to keep the planet safe, right? So what? So like another example. Let's just if we did something similar to like if we combined what Shay did and what what Kevin did, right? Let's just say an attack missed, but it was aimed at an angle that went past the Earth's atmosphere, right? So let's just say an attack, kept going like Shay did with Sun through Moon, right? And it hit one of the other planets in our solar system. That would be a sort of planetary level feat because the attack quite literally destroyed a planet, right? So if something like that were to happen, I feel like it's okay, and then we can just assume that every character on that level can do something like that, or they have the attack potency. They might not have the destructive capacity to do all of that all the time, right? They might not have the widespread damage to do that, but they do have the AP to sort of, if that destructive damage or potential is focused, it would kind of do the same thing, just not at such a largely wide area, right? I think something like that is possible. Will Brent do it? I kind of hope so, because I don't want the planet blowing up. Like that's not cool. Um, I'm assuming Bjorn will try to stall, unlike the code heads. Oh, until the code heads come up. That's not a bad guess. Assuming we can assume they know. We can assume the GT know of the what's capabilities, so that's fair. I still feel like to flesh everyone out, he needs to expand the episodes or season 4. He doesn't need to expand the episodes. The episodes don't need to be longer. The season itself needs to be longer. There needs to be more episodes. We don't need longer episodes. The episode length is fine. Technically, the episode length can even be shorter. The same thing is applicable if there are more episodes to put information in. So we don't need a long ass episode. We don't need Tower of God level long episodes. We don't need that. That's not necessary. The same thing can happen if there are just more episodes for us to read through, right? I don't want to sit and scroll through, an episode for that long. I really don't. But I am okay with binging episodes where it's like, okay, this is finally done. The point of this episode has been fulfilled. Let's move on to the next one, right? We can do that with more episodes. The episodes don't need to be longer. They can be, but they're at a point. Some episodes can be too long, right? There's too short, but there's also too long. Why didn't we cut this episode in half, right? So now it's just 2 episodes, right? So the same thing can be applied if there's just more episodes to go off of. But yeah, I think what really needs, I don't necessarily need all of the characters fleshed out. Do I think some of them should be fleshed out? Yes. I think certain things need to be established, like ranking and certain characters like Andrea or some of the GT, or like Orion is probably my best pick for an Ordeal adjacent movie, because the implication is that he was essentially laughed at for not having an active talent. So I would love for, out of like a lot of the characters, I would love to focus in on that, because that would answer how Kimyos are ranked. I feel like we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone with that, right? And so the movie idea is good because it allows characters or concepts or individuals to be a part of something canon, but that's just completely sort of, it doesn't have to relate to what's actively going on right now, right? Unless it does. But yeah. Honestly, Thanatos would need to be super powerful by the time we reach Shay versus Sansos fight because Shay's technically killed him when Shay bombed everyone? I don't think so. That's not my interpretation. I think it's possible, but I don't think so. That's just me though. I think I don't think I don't think he killed him. Or I never subscribed to the idea that Shay killed Thanatos in that moment. Um that's just me though. I feel like it makes more sense for like everybody else to have died, but those two are the only ones that lived or were capable of living through the attack, right? That's just me though. But there's really no way to confirm or deny either. What's your thoughts about the fourth and fifth lords when it comes to AP, past and present lords? Um, well, we don't know the past fifth lord, but you're saying that because of Sabito. So I don't really have a crazy opinion. Um, I don't have anything fully to go off of. I mean, Minamoto can damage somebody like Hanjiro. Hanjiro Hanjiro now scales above basically all of the code heads except for Anton. Um, Minamoto's implications of Anton suggest that at his max or at near like his highest levels, he's a god to level threat. Definitively being able to kill one of them in a group fight before he as an individual is like put down, right? It would also be a 2v an additional fighter because of Kong. So it'd be Anton and Kong versus a god tier or two god tier, right? But in terms of like AP scaling, I can't give you a definitive outside of like what should be, island level because the four corners can destroy Trinidad, right? But that's like an island. They're supposed to be able to be continent busters, so the four corners should in theory also be able to destroy any of the given continents, right? Zuri should be able to destroy all of Africa, right? um Minamoto's ability is very interesting because he has a mix of like weightlessness but very clear like sturdiness, kind of like Lewis. So yeah. um I can't give you a definitive answer. And then like the same with like Slavito, I can't like give you a definitive answer. Like they should be continental. They should be planetary, right? But there's no definitive scaling outside of like statements and like certain characters. Like technically everybody should be able to do what Shay did, essentially. Like everybody should be able to cut the moon in half or damage the moon in some form or fashion, right? But not everybody can do what Kevin did. Not everybody will be able to, you know, throw out an attack that can I don't want to say destroy the stars, the stars that were falling into mutual orbit, but essentially, like, I don't think that's how every character will work, right? But that should be the implication. So Shay should be able to do or Sabito should be able to do what Shay did, but I don't think he would be able to do what somebody like Kevin did. Same thing with Abijah. Abijah should be able to split the moon in half with the four corners. However many you think, doesn't really matter to me. It should just be the implication, right? And then like Minamoto, like again, we know Minamoto can damage somebody like Hanjiro, so he should be able to do the same thing as well, right? But I don't think they would get to like star level. So they'd be like supposed to be like implications are they're continental. If they're as strong as Shay when he fought Jose, they would be moon level. Right? And they should just also be planetary. So like that would go for Abijah, Sabito, and whatchamacallit, right? You think Codehead's big attack can kill Bjorn? Yes. I think Ordained Judgment can kill anyone. Any Kimyo. Call Ordeal Specials, Code Profile. I like Ordeal Specials. I don't like Code Profiles. I feel like that could be something for something else. But I like Ordeal Specials. Do you think Brent should attempt making an anime of Ordeal, or should he just leave it as is? I think he should attempt it. The thing with making a series in anime is that you can always add to it. So Brent can always draw something and then have them animated as well. Like there can always be additions in anime. I just don't think he should make one now. I don't think any anime attempt should be done until the series is over. Like we I mean, I know there are other series that are doing that as of currently, like Godtier.eyo. I don't think that manga's finished, but the anime is airing now, right? But they're already so far ahead that it's okay for it to be possible. Um, but I think it would make more sense for the series, or at least Ordeal, to be finished, or at least on season 4, maybe season 5, for the first season of Ordeal to happen, right? Another anime example would be Tower of God. When the Tower of God anime first aired, I think the second season was going on, but that series isn't in itself is very long, so it's kind of okay for the first season to be established because the season itself, for season 2 in the webtoon, is long as hell. So there's already a natural gap between what happens in season 1 when an anime airs versus what's going to happen in season 2 when that finally airs. Not to mention, I don't even think that season was over. And then when the second season came out, season 3 of the webtoon was also still airing. That season is also very long. I'm not caught up, but I did read a lot of Tower of God, and it's long. So there's a natural gap that can occur between when an anime is produced or in the works versus the actual material that it's pulling from. Ordeal isn't long enough of a webtoon in comparison to Tower of God for it to be natural for an anime to be made now, especially after how short this season will be. It just doesn't feel right to do it right now. I also feel like if he does an anime, I don't think too many things would have to change, but for like the first and second season, but things can be expanded upon. But at that point, it'd be kind of like a Full Metal Alchemist thing where too many things were changed, so now it's a different series from the actual one that ended up being canon, right? And canon to the manga, right? I feel like that would be the way it would go, right? So I think Ordeal should finish or be closer to finished before an anime is actually produced. That's just me. That's how that's how I would do it personally if I could choose. But I don't have that power, so my opinion hardly matters. Um, Wait, you also said seeing the way so many webtoon adaptations have been done so bad. Yeah, like God of High School. Um, it's like also like a pacing issue, but like certain things were also out of place that didn't need to be out of place. Like or certain things were like occurring in an order that they weren't when it actually happened in the series. And there's no real reason for that. Like it doesn't need to happen like that. That's just me. Like, but that's also why it doesn't get a second season. So good series though. I think Naruto survived, comma, his reaction with Veal was more so God, don't put the telling him your time is coming, which basically sealed his fate. His reaction when in the room didn't seem like someone killed. That's my opinion too. Like it seems like his reaction is I can be killed by him, not I was killed by him. That's just me. Webtoons loves Ordeal a lot. Wait, yo, Jay, make Ordeal agenda? What do you mean by that? Do you think that maybe in the future, when the series is done, we can have a good anime adaptation to Ordeal? I think it's possible. And also, what do you think about the series besides Ordeal that Brent is making? So I heard about the French thing he's working on, like the French murder mystery. Don't care about it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think it's cool conceptually, but Ordeal isn't done, so I don't care about it. Um, the flying like rider knight thing that we see Anton reading, technically, I think that's a cool concept as well, because it's like okay, yeah, we have the canon of Ordeal, but in Ordeal there's a book series that also has its own canon, right? It's like a story within a story, and I think that's cool. But I don't think anything should be worked on until Ordeal's over. That's me though. That's just me. I don't care for anything until the series is close to finishing, or it's not Brent's main focus. Like he's doing this by himself, so it's like why direct your attention elsewhere unnecessarily. Sabito, Masato, and Veal will probably 1v1. Wait, and Vatic probably 1v1 Veal's bitch ass. Yeah, but that's not how I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk about that fight last. All right, back to the fights. So we talked about Shay and Abel clearing. We talked about Fox Gaki and Iron Gaki super clearing. I want to talk about this fight next because I think it's the most interesting outside of this one. I think this one's the most interesting. What do you think Ordeal as a verse compared to, like, what do you mean power scaling wise, writing wise, art wise? There's a lot of comparisons that can be made. Um, so in regards to this fight's it's interesting because Anton has his own implication of comparing to a GT or comparing to God-tier. So we know Anton can kill a God-tier. We don't really know which one out of the ones that were present would die. We don't know if it'd be the weaker ones. We don't know if it'd be one of the stronger ones. But essentially, Anton at his max or higher levels is a God-tier level individual. So he, by technicality, could kill Abijah, right? Is Kaguya Rage Mask God tier level? No. Or Royal Blood tier? He's still low ranking like 150 if we're being consistent. Like Tevin and Anton were ranked way lower than they were in my opinion. So like especially like I don't want to talk about Anton, especially Tevin. His kit should just put him higher. So I feel like their ranking only correlate to their feats at the time and not what they actually did after the 8 months. Like they're a lot stronger than they were, so I think they would be ranked higher, right? Kaguya, like Tevin, in theory, could probably tank Kaguya's punches now as opposed to back then, right? So I would say Kaguya to like Rage Mask is like that 102 level, whereas his Black Mask is probably on that hand God tier or royal or pillar level, right? But we haven't seen it. But if Brent thinks that Rage Mask or not Rage Mask, Black Mask Kaguya could beat full power Rokash, who's supposed to be ranked 50, then that would definitively put him at a base level with that mask at the pillars level, right? So, and that's why this fight is interesting because it's kind of a toss up. It's kind of a toss up. So Anton can definitively damage and kill a God tier. So like if we want to take that at its most like lethal, then he could damage and kill Vatic, which means he could damage and kill Abijah, right? The thing about this fight is that Orion is supposed to have a big kit, but from the kit we have seen, we know he can also damage the God tier. Outside of just being a hand who should be on that skill level, Minamoto specifically points out the weapon that has the large sonic scream that can damage even God tier. So if he uses that, both of them should just, I'm not gonna say they're out of commission, but I definitely think it would be a big hindrance to them, right? The thing about this fight is also that Kaguya, and I guess technically Anton, but Anton can continue to get stronger. But Kaguya, when he fights, he uses the Rage Mask, and he's weaker, in my opinion, than everybody else here. So kind of like the way Jag wouldn't really help too much, it'd be kind of the same thing for Rage Mask Kaguya. The thing is that Kaguya has two other masks that are useful. He has the green mask. So if we really wanted to say it, it would be a fight of like one of the faster God tier in Abijah with one of the characters who has some of the best reaction time in the series of Kaguya with his green mask. So it would literally be Kaguya green mask just teleporting Abijah around and teleporting himself around. And we haven't seen a character yet who's fast enough, even though Abijah was close, and so was Shay. They were close. Kaguya was still able to react to their speeds. So with that in mind, he could react to them and teleport away, right? And if he can react to him, he can react to both of them. So what are they gonna do against him when he's teleporting around? And he's gonna be teleporting Abijah, getting him out of trouble too, the same way he would do with somebody like Vayal, right? That's just how I predict that sort of team up, right? And then we have Abijah, who can fight somebody like, or who can fight, he can contend with the base level Berto and his little ring blade. He can also, even outside of Kaguya's ability to teleport, Abijah can literally disappear in his own crows. And we've seen the the child Gaki, he's able to react kind of late. Like, even if he knows where Abijah is, he can just disappear again and then he'll be somewhere else. And like, if that's the case, then these two are just going to be playing a sort of game of just like moving around that these two aren't going to be able to really keep up with. We don't know a lot of Orion's kit, but even that little howl scream, I don't think it's going to do much if these guys are just running away and then coming back, like hit and run tactics basically. If Anton and Kong, another thing with this fight is that you have to consider is that it'll be Anton and Kong and Orion versus Abijah and Kaguya, and that makes it a 3v2, and that really only adds to the overall point of these guys likely doing hit and run tactics continuously. So I guess in my opinion, I would say that who wins this fight depends on how long you think their tactic of sort of hitting and running will last, as opposed to the sheer numbers that they have. Or I guess not sheer numbers, but the number advantage that they have. Not to mention Kong's sort of AP and Orion's at least also capabilities of damaging and hindering Godtier, right? If Anton can hit Kaguya with the staff, he's gonna die. We've seen him scar his mask in base, so if he hits him with the staff, he's probably gonna die, right? Whether it be warp or the green mask, or whether it be the rage mask, right? I don't want to talk about the black mask because I don't know what it can do, right? I don't have any sort of conceptualization for it, so I don't want to bring it up. But if it is on that god tier or pillar level, if it's even close to Grimbor's rank in terms of like what it should be capable of and putting him and boosting him up to, then that kind of makes this fight a little bit worse, because at any point Kaguya can switch between the masks, and he would likely be switching between teleporting and using his strongest mask, right? I see really no reason for him to stay in Rage Mask if these guys are going to be overpowering him. We've seen him fight Sabito, and his Rage Mask just isn't up to par. So I don't think he would be dumb enough, or I hope he wouldn't be dumb enough to do that against them as well, right? So I think, I feel like he knows when, his power isn't comparable with this mask. So he would either use the green mask, react and teleport, or the black mask, which is probably the most hacks sort of thing he has, right? I'm more tempted to give this fight to Abijah and Kaguya off of their hit and run tactics, but I can genuinely see an argument for these guys only because it would be an additional fighter. So like, just imagine, Kong is over here, and Orion's sort of lack of kit is kind of hindering him as well, because I don't know, outside of the two things he has shown against the Beast Gaki's brother, what Abijah would just not be able to handle, right? I feel like Abijah could handle him in that regard, right? Now, there is another point that could be made in regards to Orion's talent when it comes to how he steals it. If it's sort of like an instant thing, they would just win off of that alone, but I'm assuming it's not. So if at any point either of these guys are sort of like hindered to the point, Orion can actually steal their talent, that puts the fight in their favor. This is one of the most contentious fights, I guess, because realistically it could go either way. Like, if you think, I guess, sort of if you think hit and run tactics would really work, then I would give it to them, because not only is he fast, but he can disappear and sort of reappear inside of his crows, and then he literally has a teleportation talent, and his reaction speed is very clearly good. So if Abijah reacts late, in theory, Kaguya could make up for that difference, right? But if you think, I guess, if you think more so that the hit and run tactics would start to like falter and not work as much, then maybe sort of the power of Kong with the sort of additional sonic power of Orion could help, with also the potential for him to steal their talents, right? I'm I'm leaning more towards these guys, but I'm okay with anybody making an argument for these guys winning as well. Like, I feel like it could kind of go either way. But yeah, this is one of the more interesting ones on here, because there's a genuine argument to be made for either side. I didn't even bring up the four corners, not really because we don't know what it looks like, but more so it's kind of like a clear option. I just don't know how he would use it. Like, would he disappear in the crow and then attack with the four corners, or would he just use it outright? You know, like, would he just kind of stand there while, let's just say, Kong and Anton are charging and then use it, right? I assume we've actually seen Kong's staff be destroyed. So if you think the four corners trump, the power of the staff, then it's just done for them, right? But yeah, this can kind of go either way. I'm okay with you guys saying like this can go either way. I feel like it makes sense. Let me look at chat real quick. Okay, you said like overall characters, world building, power system, and writing. Ordeal can be as good as some of the greatest series, especially in terms of like characters. Some of the characters in Ordeal are very interesting, very unique. The world building and the writing is where it falters, because a lot of Ordeal is centered around specific characters, but those specific characters don't add anything overall to the actual world. Like, yes, Zahara and Rajani add to, the concept of cursed chi, and Rajani's like entire family is related to scribes as opposed to warriors. But that's it. We just get that base level information, and we don't really get anything outside of that. So that's where the series falters. The power system is actually really good in my opinion, because you can kind of do anything as long as you can conceptualize it and make it make sense within the confines of the types. You can do anything. Like, there's really nothing off limits. Like, you can make a character as strong as Kevin. You can make a character as weak as Quill if you want. It doesn't matter. But the quality of Ordeal really centers and really falters when it comes to writing and world building, because not enough of the world overall is fully explored and expanded upon, and some of the writing can just be overall better, right? I'm not saying that Naruto or some of the other great anime and series and manga don't have their faultiness in terms of writing, but I feel like Ordeal lags further behind in comparison to their faults, if that makes sense. Right? How do you think the next gen with Yukiko and Elon Jr. and other young characters will look in the future in season 5 or 6? I personally believe Tevin will train them up and open his gym and orphanage. I agree. That's actually what I want for like the end of the series. I want Tevin to be the sort of new Leo of his time, essentially. I think it makes sense for him as a character to be the one to train younger individuals like Leo, especially when it comes to Yukiko. Like, for 8 months, he was like one of 2 people actively training her, and he makes it a point to say that he even read about Hisame. So if he's training a Kinya with a talent that's been around for a while, he will read up on it to help further their growth. And that's why I think him training Elon Jr. is a very good idea, because it guarantees that Elon Jr. is in the hands of somebody that knows what his talent can be and knows how to train it. It's after he reads the information regarding it. That's why I made that point in my video. It just makes sense it just makes sense. Like, I want Elon Jr. to be different from Lewis, but Tevin witnessing how Lewis uses his talent, especially over those 8 months, will only add to Elon Jr.'s capabilities because Tevin was a witness to it. The same reason Andrea was sent to train Shay specifically would be the same reason Tevin would be a helpful addition to Elon Jr. He is someone who has seen the talent. He's someone who's fought alongside it. He is someone who has the potential to read about it and understand it. It just makes sense for somebody like him to be the one to train him. Outside of any like other characters, like there's no other young characters we know about unless you want to talk about the twins, but I don't really care about them because it's not like they're cool conceptually, but once if Reed dies, like what are they gonna do? Like who are they gonna flock towards now, right? Like who would be the best fit for them, essentially. And as of right now, it's like kind of like nobody, especially since we don't know I's ability and we only know Rise. But I do think Tevin will like sort of open up an orphanage and things like that. Will the Ancient One be another one of Shay's mentors? No, I don't think so. I mean, he could be. He could technically be one, but I don't think so. I don't think Shay needs another mentor. I think all of the mentoral characters that Shay will have, he has had already. I don't think he needs to learn anything power-wise from other people. I think Shay's perfectly able to develop his own abilities. There's nothing the Ancient One can teach him that Shay wouldn't figure out himself, in my opinion. What's up, Dadudo? Was good. Glad you made it. Which villain has your favorite design or talent? I personally like Lath's design and talent. Fuck Lath. Which villain has my favorite design and talent? Okay, so let's think about the talents we've seen and think about the designs we've seen. Okay, I don't really care for Veil's talent, not because it's not cool, or I just don't care for it overall. Jose's talent wasn't bad, he just sucks using it, but I wouldn't call it my favorite. Rokash had a pretty good talent. He was in my favorite list of characters, and his talent kind of is the reason he was there. But I don't think I'd consider it my favorite. Like I don't think his talent is one that I would definitively want over another, I guess. Let's look at who else has fought. I don't really like any of the Titans that were at the ball. I don't care for their talents. I think Kaguya's talent's one of the more interesting ones. Like talent wise, and then design wise, the Gaki kind of all have like a sort of white, like yellow theme. My favorite Gaki is the Beast Gaki, but I don't know how his talent works. But his design is probably one of my favorites. It reminds me of Killer Bee and like the Raikage and like all them from the Cloud Village. I think he's one of my favorites. Damn Jay, you hate Lath that much? I just don't care for him. Like I don't care for him. Like I don't care. Like his talent, it's not even cool to me. It's like it just is. Like it just is. I don't like the fact that he had the Elder's Mantle either. I feel like Lath having the Elder's Mantle was a very clear sign of Lath as an individual, as a character being a plot device, I guess. I think that's the word. Like he's only there to have Shay give him the Elder's Mantle for the most part. Like you can find deeper meaning in it, like Wolf Nara does. But outside of that, he's really just a plot device to give Shay the Elder's Mantle. Like he, out of all the characters we've seen, shouldn't have it. Like it makes way more sense for Jose to have the Elder's Mantle as opposed to Lath. Jose's chi can like signal Godtier to be around, so it doesn't make sense for like his underling, who has a distorted arm because of his lack of proper training, to have something so valuable, right? It just doesn't make sense. I don't really care for Lath. I wanted Lath to be a lot more than he was, and he just wasn't. So I don't really care for him. Kind of same for Jose. I just like his talent more than Late's. But he also doesn't use it as good as he does, or as good as he could, in my opinion. He also talks too much. Late's talent is good. It's not a bad talent at all. I just don't. It's not one that I would want. I think I'd rather have Jose's talent than Late's. And then if I had to pick a Gaki, if I knew how the Beast Gaki's talent worked, I'd probably want his. We just know it's a shift, but that's it. I'm assuming you're caught up. How do you feel about the upcoming fight? I'm only 2 episodes ahead of what just aired, so I've seen parts of it. I'm expecting. I'm not really sure what I'm expecting from Kofi as an individual. From what I have read, his talent. Well, actually, not even from what I have read. Brent mentioned during a stream that his talent is something that he's thought up since from like years ago, from years ago. So I'm kind of excited to see what a younger Brent conceptualized and like how he might have tweaked it and changed it to fit the confines of his story, right? I think his talent is probably one of the ones I'm excited to see for that reason, but not because I'm excited to see Kofi as an individual. I'm much more excited to see somebody like Zuri, who was created by somebody like us, right? A fan of the series, right? Or somebody like Amara Thatcher. I don't really care about Amara, but I would like to see her talent, just because I would like to see what Brent allowed to be in his series, right? But yeah. Hopefully that answered the question. I'm assuming you're caught up. Yeah, I answered that one. Zahara so nonchalant. Zahara not speaking kind of pisses me off, but it's cool. It's just cool. It's cool. I think I've gotten over it. I was gonna make a point and like mention it in the outro of my video, but it's not important enough for me to care. I'm not gonna lie. So she just don't talk. I want to write characters that don't talk either, and I want to do it like justice, kind of give it a reason as to why they don't talk. But for right now, she just don't talk because she don't talk, or she can't, but it's not clear. I don't really know why. What do you think? What do you think could be the talents for the God tier members that we don't know their talents? Like Zuri, I've already mentioned Zuri's talent. Oliviera, Kofi. I don't want to speak on Kofi. Bree. We've seen Abijah. Abijah's talent isn't that hard to figure out. Hold on. Jose, that's funny. I kind of want to see Zahara's backstory. If we don't get it, then I'm cool with it. Yeah, like Brent puts a lot of like potential into the series, like with what he states, but he doesn't choose to expand upon it, and I don't understand why. Like that's a part of that world building comment I made earlier. It just brings the overall series kind of down. Like I still think it's good and it's great and it has great potential, but he's not capitalizing enough, in my opinion. Not even for me, just in my opinion. All right, speaking on the God tier's talents, Zuri's talent is likely a shift talent, and it's Medusa related. So she'll either be able to seal off a talent, kind of like turn it into a stone statue so you can't use it, or something along those lines. I don't know. I didn't make it, but somebody made it from the Discord. It was in the poll, or it was in a poll. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see her for that reason. But outside of that, I'm not really sure. Mikhail's talent, it'll either be precognitive related. I know Flashblade had a theory that it was what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? That it was kinesis related. I don't see it. I don't even think it would make sense for his character. We haven't even seen that panel that Brent drew of Mikhail and his hand with the bloodstain. Like we haven't even seen that. I don't like when is that ever going to be relevant, or like what's that about? I'm not sure what his talent will be. Maybe it'll be precognitive related. I'm honestly not sure. There's nothing we can really guess. It makes more sense for me to be able to guess what his hand's ability was, as opposed to him. Kofi, I'm not gonna speak on him because his fight's very soon, and there's information that I know that would just be spoilery. Bree, I'm honestly not sure what her talent could be. We know it's a support, but she also had those like two weapons on her back, and I don't know how that would tie into her fighting style with her talent. Every character so far that has had a weapon, if I'm not mistaken, their talent has played a part in how they, or the weapon has played a part in how their talent also is used, right? As opposed to, I think the only outlier to this would be Ryu, because he only uses his axe with in conjunction with his talent when he uses his state, right? But everybody else that has a weapon, Sabito, um, Yukiko, Shay, um, Andrea, uh, what's another good example? Masato, kind of. What's her name? Well, I cannot think of her name right now. Abijah, um, and then Bjorn's hand, Bonnie. They all kind of use their weapons like in conjunction with their talents, right? But I can't really guess how she would use the weapon she has in conjunction with her talent in any way, right? So I don't really know. Abijah's talent, it's not that hard to figure out what he can do. He's related to wind and crows. He can we've seen like what two of his abilities. He can see through all the crow's visions. He can disappear within inside them, changing locations. And then we know he has the four corners. The four corner winds, in a biblical sense, are essentially just strong winds that burst from each of the four corners of the earth. I mean, it don't really need, like, it's not that difficult to figure out what he can do. At the most, he can kind of summon the winds, and the winds have their own like application, or they're just all very strong, and he can summon them individually, and they kind of have like a sort of like wind scythe, wind bladey application where he just kind of tosses them out, in conjunction with how he uses his blade. But Abijah's not that hard to figure out. Tao, I don't have anything for Tao. We know he got those big old gauntlets on his back, or whatever they are. A lot of people think he's Buddha related. I don't really care. I don't care about Tao. He's not interesting to me. He doesn't he doesn't hype me up. So yeah, um, yeah, that's all I got. And then transitioning back, so we've talked about Jose and Abel clearing. We talked about the Fox Gaki and the Iron Gaki clearing. And this fight can go either way in my opinion. And now moving on to our last fight, we got Sabito and Vial versus Masato and Vatic. This fight is probably more difficult to gauge than this one because we have three swordsmen of assumingly notable skill. Um, so like everything Sabito knows how to do in terms of swordsmanship, Masato should know how to do. And it's kind of vice versa, right? The thing is that Vial is also a very notable swordsman, and I'm not, and it's like, but his swords use plays more into his talent than like everybody else here. So, and then there's Vatic. We don't know a lot about Vatic. We just know he should be relative in speed to everybody here. Masato can take out a god tier pretty easily. His talent can't be perceived. We know that, until he uses it. So he could potentially catch these two off guard with that. But Sabito likely knows how his father's talent works to some capacity. Um, so it kind of comes down to a couple things. The first one is if Masato can just catch them in a field, either off guard or on guard, and kind of deal with them that way. Another big thing is that these two can outnumber these guys more than they can. Sabito can spawn in Hisame, and that would make it a 3v2, but then Vayal can also spawn in Dothanil, and that would make it a 4v2. That numbers is just bad. However, we do know that Dothanil as like a spawnable summon isn't hard to deal with. It's actually more predictable seemingly than Hisame because Bjorn was able to kind of deal with him as an individual, right? he could kind of deal with him slightly easily. It's just that additional number is just hard to deal with. Like it just kind of makes the fight slightly more difficult. But even Shay, even though they all wasn't trying his hardest, can handle both of them at the same time. Um, so it's very likely that these two would spawn both of them in to help fight. And I say that especially for somebody like Masato, who can spawn a sort of field that they kind of can't do anything in, but also Vatic because his control over water is vast. Um, and if he can create it, not that hard to get around because Sabito could technically freeze it, in my opinion. But he can also defend against it since his Isis durability should be some of the best durability in the series, generally speaking. Um, Hi, bro. Can you please add an audio track in Spanish for the stream or for the videos? For the stream, I can't. All the audio, the Spanish audio stuff is done by YouTube. So after this uploads, it there might be a way for you to translate it when it's done. But if it's not, that's just how it is. Like it just doesn't do it. Um, but I don't add them specific. I can add them manually, but I don't know how that works. So I just let YouTube kind of auto allow translations for the audio. Um, so yeah, what do you think will be the next step for Andrea? Like, will she remain in code or will she go with Shay? Um, I feel like there's technically no reason for her not to go with Shay. Um, but if Brant kind of wants her to be, I think there's a possibility that she goes with Shay and then something happens and then she leaves Shay, right? But what that thing could be, unguessable. Um, and it wouldn't be surprising if she also decided to stay with Code since the deal was for her to be sort of Shay's kind of like watchdog for them. Um, so yeah, I'm not really sure what that would look like because you can argue like I feel like there's a better argument to be made as to why she would stay with Shay and, as opposed to Code, but she also just got reinstated and she could be kind of like their watchdog for him, like kind of like a two face, kind of like his like she would be kind of like Hanjiro in that aspect, like kind of telling them things about Shay, right? But I can't definitively say. I just know she's one of the characters that needs better development, and I think a sort of recalling of like a past event, kind of like we did with Noro, for her would look really good. Um, but yeah, can it be streamed or only in videos? I mean, if you can find a button that translates everything I say, that's power to you. But if not, then it might only work after the stream is uploaded, right? Um, because then it would kind of work like how the videos work. So you're just gonna have to wait for the stream to be over to really test it out. I have a theory, and that is all. Wait, and that is that all the hands are especially chosen for their respective god tier members, but I don't know if that's the case. Um, I'd say that's the case for like that. Yeah, they are assigned, but I'm not sure how specific it is. Like, there's something that will happen next episode that I'll talk about in the actual video regarding it. That kind of will expand upon part of that question, but you could say like Bonnie could have been assigned to Bjorn based on like who he is and the fact that he needed a mother, right? Bonnie says when she met him, she knew he needed a mother figure. So it's possible certain things like that are taken into account. It could also be individual personalities, or it could be talent, like functionality, right? It's really kind of unknown. They all kind of follow a sort of theme to some degree, like in their own way. But I don't really think there's that much depth to it. And I think the only real answer, or the only like real thing, or the only thing that could really support like there being a lot of intent would be Leo and Masato and their sort of like unofficial, like their unofficial, theme. Like Leo is unofficial, and so is Masato. But they both work closely with Ko, that they don't have to be official members, right? So like that's kind of like the intent and the reason that they are paired. But um, I think if we saw who Vadic's hand is, if he has one, would kind of help further that. Okay, yeah, he was specifically put with this person for this reason, right? Like if he had a water related talent, or if he had like a shit related talent that like functioned better when water is around, then we could also say that like part of the reason that some god tier and hand are matched together is because of talent, relation, kind of like the table, right? But there's not too much we can really go off of based on that. Like, Minamoto sees Orion as a son, but that wouldn't realistically be a reason for him to be placed with him, right? I feel like and then there's also like Levi. Levi doesn't have a definitive reason for being under Abijah unless he is an assassin. Like he is a barrier related talent, which is supposed to be better than Eric's, right? Um, but like I don't know. Like there's nothing really that says like none of the none of the hands could in theory be placed without the other ones, right? And I think they're really only placed with who they are placed with is because of their rank. That makes the most sense. More sense than anything else, I should say. Do you think the current generation is stronger than the older, like Shay and Abel versus Kane and Leo? I think it's based on talent more than anything else. I think characters like the younger or the newer characters, newer generation of characters has a potential to be like Lath, um, Dororo. I think the characters that like characters like um Yukiko and here, let me put it like this. Characters with talents that are reoccurring have the potential to be stronger on an individual level than characters beforehand. So Shay, Yukiko, Anton, and Elon Jr., and Azam, they all are in possession of a talent that was wielded by somebody before them, and they all have the potential to be a better user than the previous user, right? I would go on a whim and say that Shay is currently a better wielder of Ilios than Leo, right? Um, that could be because of certain factors. That could be the individual aspect of him. But my point essentially is that anyone can be stronger on an individual level than anybody before them, right? But the overall power of the talent doesn't really change unless there's something else to it, right? Um, so the Hisame that Yukiko has is the same Hisame that Sabito has, but she has the potential to be a stronger user of Hisame than everybody before her, just on a sort of individual basis, right? We know Sabito is a prodigy, but Yukiko is a genius, so she could be a better tactician than her father. Sabito was naturally gifted with Hisame and was able to reach a high rank at a young age, but that could be possible for Yukiko as well, and she could just be a naturally better tactician on an individual basis, right? As opposed to everybody before her, right? Another thing could like if we want to talk about like not Mahalil, Malhazar and like Kane. Malhazar could in theory have been a better wielder of the Thanatos talent than Kane was, you know? Or Kane could have been a better wielder than Malhazar. It's really an individual thing, and the talent itself doesn't fully play a factor into it. It's how you use it. So Elon Jr. could be a better user um, of Ash of the Fathers, and it could be because his mastery of Death Stance, right? You know, if Lewis had mastered Death Stance, he'd probably be stronger. But Lewis also now gives his predecessors, no, his descendants, or everybody after him, the ability to be stronger because of that, right? Because he unlocked Death Stance. Now everybody can be stronger because of that, right? Did I just hear fraud Drea? If I did, whoever said that with the goat, I did not say that. I don't know where you got that from. Do you think that Azam's talent has anything else in store, or do you think that's that it's just speed and the 5 point palm? Um, I think Kidding has potential to be more than just speed. What's up, Naoni? I think it has potential to be more than just the speed of what it can do. We know he can think faster with it. We know he can sort of channel its chi in a unique way. Um, and if we go off myth, he might be able to like run on like clouds, kind of like the Flash should be able to do. Um, we've seen him run on water, so running on clouds should be possible. We kind of seen his like lightning adjacent visual when it comes to his talent. Uh, there could be something there in terms of like actual lightning or lightning adjacent attacks when it comes to how he fights with Kidding, but I'm not sure what else Brent could pull from that could make Kidding more unique than what it is, right? Like calling an Ori and cooking them bad. I don't know about that one, man. I don't know about that one. Um, I wouldn't say they're cooking them bad. I do think it's closer than the other fights on here because you can argue hit and run tactics, and it's a genuine argument because Kaguya can react to Abijah, and if Kaguya can react to Abijah, then he can kind of react to everybody else and teleport. Um, but yeah, what do you think could be the reason for Ovieta to lose his vision? Maybe a personal thing. There's really any sort of way he could lose his vision. It could be talent related. He could have saw a vision he wasn't supposed to yet, or he wasn't strong enough to see yet, you know? Um, it could be a fight that lost his vision, but he also says he's been blind for a really long time, so who knows, right? There could be really any number of reasons that he has the scars on his face that gave him the the loss of eyesight. But who knows? Couldn't Brent pull a Kidding from Naruto with Azam? But Kidding in Naruto isn't anything crazy, and he kind of already did that with the 5 point palm that we saw in season one to a certain capacity. Kidding in Naruto is just a giant lightning beast that attacks physically. So I guess he could, but it wouldn't make the most sense for it to be a giant lightning beast. It makes the most sense for it to be a sort of chi beast thing. But like I said, he kind of did that already with the 5 point palm, especially with how it like is tossable when we see it. It like moves, so it would essentially just be that but bigger, right? Top fight. Left is probably winning, but all I really know is we losing. World's gone. That's funny. Yeah, I've already went over some of these fights. Shane Abel cooks, Fox and Iron cooks. I genuinely see this fight going either way. Um, like you can either argue hit and run tactics, or you can argue overall power. But even then, I'm not really sure how strong Orion is in comparison to specifically Abijah. That would put him far enough ahead to really make it like I guess a clear essentially. There's also the 3v1, so it wouldn't be a 2v1, it'd be a 3v1. But hit and run tactics could in theory work to a certain capacity if Abijah's also like using one of the four corners with his abilities, right? But I think this can go a lot either way more than anything else. This fight's the most interesting to me though. This fight's the most interesting. Cyber 10 Veil would probably have crazy synergy. I agree. The problem with this fight is that one, we don't know how Vatic uses Okeanos for one, kind of like how we don't really know what Kevin would do and how we don't know a lot about Orion. We don't really know what Vatic would do in a fight. And I just assume I just assume they're all gonna be fighting like in a sort of ring or like kind of like not forest of death, like the tuning exam type of place, or like a sort of neutral area, like like Mount Jotun, right? And if like that's the case, then I feel like he wouldn't use his talent the same way he would if he was just on water, right? Um, and like I said earlier, this fight is just also a 4v1 as opposed to, or a 4v2 as opposed to a 2v2 because of Hisame and because of Dothanil. Like Dothanil would be a lot easier to deal with than Hisame, but if Sabito is able to and Sabito and Hisame are able to freeze Vadic's water, then what is he really gonna do that could trump that? And then if Veal hits either of them, there's nothing they can do about his cells, right? You could maybe argue that Masato has some sort of temporal effect that he could stop the cells from spreading, which wouldn't be that bad. But these two characters are more unknown than these guys are, and these guys at their best just kind of aren't really like these guys at their best just aren't. There's like nothing you could fully argue against them, right? If you want to do like more technical and more swordsmanship oriented, there's still like two sword users versus a sword user and a trident user, and we don't even know how good he is with his trident as opposed to Masato is with the sword. But Sabito has better potential with using his sword in conjunction with his talent, if that makes sense. And the same thing applies with Veal, right? Like their ability to use their talent in conjunction with their weapons is just very high. I feel like this fight isn't actually as bad as I thought it was when I first saw this image. I would give left to everybody except here. Except here. You can really argue these guys, but you can also argue these guys. The lack of knowledge on Vatic and how he uses his talent is a big hindrance. Masato as well, but Masato is also at the very least on a similar level in terms of sheer swordsmanship to Sabito, and that would also put him on a separate level to Veal. That also means that Masato can defensively, or at least to a certain capacity, attempt to damage Veal, but there's not too much I feel like could occur outside of Masato's what is it called? Koku Genma, the field. If they're able to react to that and get out of it enough times, there's nothing they can do, right? Um, I don't want to count Vatic out, but it's like I don't have a way for him to be helpful because we haven't seen him fight. We haven't seen him really do anything. Masato has a definitive move we can pull from, and like I said, his skills in terms of swordsmanship should relate to both of them. But then that kind of goes into the sort of 4v1 argument. Like what if he catches the two summons in the field instead of these two? That's just not gonna bode well for them, right? And if I haven't even mentioned Sabito's Black Ice. Like Black Ice, if we thought Sabito could freeze Vadic's water, Black Ice is for sure doing something to Vadic's water, like definitively. And like I said earlier, Veal cells just interacting with them. There's nothing they can do to counter it unless you can somehow say that Okeanos inside of Vatic could do the same thing that Ilios does inside of Shay, which may make sense. You might be able to say some of the hydrogen or oxygen particles inside the water could do something to his cells. I don't know how you would want to spin that, but I don't really know. I wouldn't give this fight to them. When I first saw this image, I thought it was a lot more even, but having given me the time to actually talk about it, I wouldn't bet on them. I wouldn't bet on them. I would bet more on them, especially since they can make it bigger numbers. Let me look at chat real quick. I have 6 energy. and what their personalities being if they were living talents. Wait, what? Do you believe that the Havoc talent had more potential than shown, and what talent would you like to see or would make the most sense become a talent object or weapon? All talents have the potential to become as strong as the god tier. That's definitively possible for like every talent, in my opinion. I think there's a base level threshold that all talents can reach, and Jin reached his base level threshold with Havoc, right? You could also argue that he could be higher up on a technical standpoint, but he just didn't reach he just didn't he just didn't get a chance to fill in the spot that was already taken, right? You can argue that he was higher, but if his fight against Thanatos shows anything, I would argue against that. But then also, like I said, I think he might have reached his base level cap before he actually reached the genuine limits of all talent capacity, right? Um, and then if I had to see any talent be a talent weapon, uh, if I had a choice, I would probably choose Jose's, and I would make it that staff thing he had. I don't think any other talent. I mean, I guess you can make every other talent a talent object technically, but I feel like his is one of the ones that makes the most sense for it to kind of convert in that way, like as opposed to like Bjorn's like the hide. The only thing that would make sense as a talent object is the hammer, but the hammer is a part of the hide, so it's like, you know. Um, and what their talents would be like if they're living, if their personalities would be like. So I'm not really sure what I would say Jose's talent would be like if it was alive. Hopefully it wouldn't talk as much. I feel like it would be kind of like. Have you ever seen Bleach when like the what are they called? What are those weapons called? Wow, I'm really blanking right now. Uh, Whatever the swords are called. When like all of their Shikais was able to when all their Shikais were kind of like alive, I feel like Jose's talent would be like Wabisuke with like all the weights and stuff, but I also might like have like dynamite explosives, you know, like in sort of like in a designing way, right? That's how I'd see him. First time I came to a stream, this Mama Ordeal is goaded. Glad to see you here, King Reaper. I'm the only wait, am I the only one that finds it weird that Lewis didn't train Death Stance more since he unlocked it as a teen? Um, no, you're not the only one who finds it weird. It's just stupid. You know, it's just a little dumb. What cloud? Wait, what could be the reason of why a cameo can be born with a talent that already wait that already have been born with another cameo? Numbers, I guess. Um, More talents exist that are reoccurring than what original. So it just makes more sense for a talent to be inside the ether and then for it to be reborn in a cameo because it's not dead yet. Essentially, it's not. Oh, Zanpakuto, thank you. I was trying to figure that name out, could not think of it. It just makes more sense for most of the talents that appear to be ones that have existed. Um, Not even for like years and years on end, like ancient talents, but sort of like um that kind of that they haven't exhausted their life yet, essentially, right? It could also be like a sort of RNG thing to where it's like, okay, is this one going to go inside of this person? Like, does it fit this person's personality or things like that? You also have to take into account talent transfer. A lot of talents have been transferred throughout the years, especially some of the stronger ones. So most of the talents that are just strong by nature are in existence because they don't want them to die out, right? Um, but then there's also the same argument of like all the talents that could have resulted in a kind of clan and family being established with it. Those could be some of the talents that are also circulating throughout the course of the world, right? I think Ordeal has too many interesting characters that Brent won't have time to work on, so he just makes them really cool and intriguing at base level. Yeah, if he put more time, if he put more length into the seasons or series, it wouldn't be that case for the most part. A little late, but for Azam, he could potentially evolve. Pipe palm into a type of chi blocking technique. Okay, I see that like hold on, let me remember, like Legends of Korra, maybe affecting the flow of chi in a Kimyo's body or stopping it from flowing into a limb or something. That's not a bad idea because he kind of, it would essentially be like what he already does, but more catered to just stopping. Maybe Vatic has control over all form of water, so he could have some control over Sabito's ice. Same with Veil's blood. What could possibly be Kage's backstory? It's either related to Sabito. It could either be like an older sibling syndrome and like being overlooked by the younger sibling, or it could be the fact that he just naturally wanted to be the next clan head, as opposed to Sabito. Like he wanted to have the clan talent as opposed to what he has. It could also be like a bigoted thing. Like he doesn't agree with the fact that his clan protects humans or protects people as a whole instead of just humans. Could be that. Vatic might be able to control ice, but Sabito likely has superiority in that aspect, especially since its chi construct. Agreed. I also think, like I said, black ice would kind of just disrupt that. If they use water for their ability and don't create it directly from their chi, but it's in the air, it's created from chi. It's also reinforced by chi. So, I mean, if their chi is, I wouldn't say it's on a similar scale, but it definitely isn't crazy far off. I don't think he would be able to sort of like, control it more than somebody else, right? Do you think we'll see more talent-centered families or clans? There are some that we just haven't seen, like the Beastcockies clan, the Odozu or Oduzo, however you say it. He comes from a clan, so once we kind of see him, there's that innate expansion. We don't really know about any other clans though. Like we don't know about any others outside of the clan that Goro comes from. Him, the Beastcockies, the Heart Clan, the Hemlocks, and the Ishti family. I think there will be. I just don't know what to say definitively because we already have some that isn't really established enough yet. Like the Ishtis kind of just got their entry, and they already are like they're already like in the past essentially. Like we don't really quote unquote care about them, as opposed to somebody like the Beastcocky who's still around, right? He might come from a family like that's already dead. There's also the ancient one. He comes from a clan and a family, but we don't know about him yet, right? We just have to wait and see like what will be introduced for what reason, but more so what will happen to the ones that already exist in the series. There's also like the Thomas family line. They're not gonna be a sort of. I don't think they're not like the Hearts, but they also, because of Leo, they have a sort of place in the world, right? They are semi. They are a lineage that has potential in my opinion. Um, just based off numbers, there's been more strong ancient talents than new talents, so there's bias there, as strong characters are more likely to have older talents. Probably see more clans that won't ever be dived into, just surface level. Yeah, miss my boy Hemlock. I don't miss him, but he definitely should have something. He should have something. All right, so to end this part off, we got Shay and Abel. I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna give this fight to Sabito and Veil off the numbers, but also off the lack of information for these guys. Like I know more about them to kind of give confidence in them as opposed to these guys. You can make an argument for Vatic and water control over Sabito, but I think if Sabito knows that, um, Black Ice could be a sort of way to try and kind of triumph and trump that, in my opinion. Um, there's also the fact that his cells just eat away from the inside out. So if one of them is hit in any capacity, it's done for. I think Masato kind of has like a hacks factor. Like if he can catch them in the Kokugenma, it's done. But if not, I feel like Sabito knows that, and he should be dead. So Veil probably knew it too. So I mean, I feel like we can just give it to them. Kind of sound. This is like the easiest fight here. There's nothing Jack can do to help Jose. Um, Berto was just base level version of like Jose's max, and then this guy can't die, so it's just give it to them. This fight is probably the one I'd honestly just I genuinely would see going either way. You can kind of give it to their potential power. We don't even know his full kit, but he can harm them. He can harm them. Um, Black Mask Kaguya should have potential to harm them as well. We don't know what it can do, and then Abijah can harm them as well. But these guys have better hit and run potential. Like in Kaguya, when Green Mask is in play, has not been touched. So his reaction speed with it is just very good. Abijah can also sort of teleport around within his crows, so I feel like that kind of plays into a good factor of like how they'll kind of slowly whittle these guys down. Unless you think that for whatever reason they'll just kind of overpower and trump anything that they can do in that sort of regard. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking about that. Um, yeah. Fox and Goro versus the other two is gonna be so boring. Just gonna be Goro standing there, just rocking, just getting rocked while Fox fights. Based off Mina's statement, 100% Kong is definitely stronger than a Bybum. I don't really care about that statement, in my opinion. It only gives the fact that actually that it's not true at all. It's it gives credence to him being able to kill a god tier, not specifically which one. It doesn't. It just says that he's on their level at his max or his upper levels, but it doesn't say that he's stronger than him definitively. Um, you can argue, the 2v1 potential would make him stronger, but I wouldn't argue that because I mean, if Abijah can teleport around, what is numbers gonna do against someone who's just dipping and dodging in a murder of crows? And we don't even know how many crows he can make, right? So yeah, I wouldn't say he's stronger than him defensively. I just say he's on their level. I feel like it's disingenuous to say he's definitely stronger. That's just disingenuous. How's my day been? My day's been pretty good. I've been chilling. I've been watching a lot of anime. I'm watching To Be Hero X right now. I was watching Windbreaker before. I'm kind of cooling right now, if I'm being honest with you. Nothing crazy going on. Well, let me check Discord real quick. Somebody said they had something for me. Whatever that's supposed to mean. Oh, W Design. W Design. Oh, wait, no, that's not me. Wait, hold on. Where am I at? Number 5? That's fair. That's fair. I'm not gonna lie, we gotta see Ian box. Yeah, I need to see Ian do something. He just kind of exists. I'm actually gonna talk about him in my season review too. I don't like bro. Hold on, this is interesting. Could the moon split incident be the trigger for Keith Thomas to come out of the shadows if that guy on the base was him? This is an interesting concept. Is this Keith? I don't think this is him. Mostly because of his hair. Wait, we didn't get to see his eyes. I don't think that's him though. Be interesting. I might play a game. I look, need to eat. I might eat some Oreos, low key. What should we get into? I have to discuss freaking Die of Time earlier. That's never fun. I do have a video plan. I'm actually gonna show y'all. I have a video plan for. Let me find a folder real quick. For this, I haven't seen To Be Hero X yet. What you're ranking for real? Like of the series? I don't know how. I haven't finished it, so I just like it so far. I like the concept. It's also one of those sort of worlds where you're like, I don't think I want to live in that world. So this guy on TikTok, he ordered the characters I'm about to show y'all, right? And there you can see their order here. And this is supposed to be the strongest swordsman in Ordeal. So he put, actually, let's just click through. So he put Masato as an honorable mention, okay? Keep that in mind. And then he put Bonnie at 6, Abijah at 5th, Yukiko at 4th, and then Sabito, and then Vale, and then Andrea. So I have a video idea in mind. I'm not sure when I'll do it, but it's going to be a discussion video just reorganizing these characters. Because no. There's no reason to Masato can be an honorable mention, but you can also just include him on the list. Yukiko shouldn't be above Abijah or Bonnie. And then you could honestly make a you could put Sabito and Vale and Masato above Andrea, in my opinion, right? Right. But yeah, Andrea at 5th. No, she was at 1st, but that list was crazy. This is a list for show. What was he smoking? I need whatever he's on. Can't lie. Yeah, that one's crazy. I saw that and I was like, "There's no way." So I'm gonna go ahead and make a video about me just like reorganizing that. I think let me see if I can like go on TikTok and see if I can look at. I don't have a TikTok, so let me see if it'll let me on. Brent said he'll be doing his own thing. Oh wait, Lurie. I wonder if Azam will want to join Shay's faction like Junie. He Brent did say he'd be open, like Azam would be open to Shay's like sort of dark side transition, most likely because of what's happening to him. But yeah, I think he said he's gonna be a rogue, so that would suggest that he's just not gonna be involved in like any specific team. Let's see if we can look up, bro. Oh, that's not the word. Let's see. This is bro. Where's it at? Yeah, I found him, y'all. I found him. See you, Jay. Gotta go. Appreciate you for being here, Aristotle. You have a good one. All right, y'all. I done found him. So I like his editing. I low-key want to reach out to him one day. Anyway, I want to reach out to him one day, see if I can get some like cool edits, you know. But let's look at a video from bro. Let's look at something. I'll pay to watch a crossover. Wait, hold on. Wait. Okay, Ordeal crossover matchups I'll pay to watch. Let's discuss these, chat. Let's discuss these. Let's look at them first. Andrea and Urza, Minato and Sabito. We got Azam and OPM. Y'all might have to help me with that one because I don't know about him. Vale and the dude from Nobliss. I don't know about that one.
I know you're not the guy.
Excuse me? I was not done. What you doing?
I know.
And then, okay. And then there's the Escanor, I think that was. That was Escanor? I might have to save these pictures or something. I don't know who that is. I can't. It won't let me see. It won't let me see him. I'm gonna see if I can save them though. I feel like other than Shay, Azam is the cub that has been really put through the ringer. I mean, Lewis kind of died, but you know, yeah, definitely Azam. You know, his girlfriend died, things like that. Trauma for trauma, they pretty even, way above everyone else. Trauma for trauma, they're even. Trauma for trauma, they're even. Shay had a Espinal versus Shay. I give it to Shay. Shay, we don't even know what Azam's backstory is, but Shay had a talent ripped out of him at birth, and then was riddled with pain up until he got Ilios. Before that, he also got dropped off by his parents, and he didn't even remember them up until a certain point, clearly. And then on top of that, the parents he did know, one of them died. So Leo's dead. Um, and then he was given his talent, which was sort of quote unquote traumatic for him. It like burdened him in a way. Um, and then he lost. Who did he lose? And then he lost his master. And then his sister almost died. And then his brother died. I don't know if that's even. I wouldn't say that's even. That's like what three events that he has on him? That don't feel very even to me. I might have to like download the actual I don't know why I just did that. The actual images, if I have the app though. I might have to like get the app to do something like that. We got the coldest panels of Ordeal.
I know
Yeah, see
you're
this
not the
the
god
best
you
swordsman
once
post right
were.
here.
And now,
It's
you have
the
a chance to
this the
prove
best one. This is the best one right here.
Turn my son,
He clean though.
where you may meet the god I once was.
I don't know about that list though, man. Oh, auto scroll? No, I don't want auto scroll on. That's trash. I don't like that it auto switches the pictures in the last one. Um, in terms of trauma, Shay is planets above Zomlo. Andrea versus Urza. If we take away the power of friendship thing she got going on, I am rewatching Fairy Tale and its scaling is bad because Urza can like lose a fight definitively, and then there will be a sort of semi-reasonable explanation for her to be winning, right? But, but, if before, like, if we made them even, if we just said that Andrea would beat Urza, it would just be that. Like, the first time Urza loses a fight, she just loses. She don't get the power of friendship buff, right? Now, Urza's arsenal is technically vastly superior to Andrea's. She has far more things to use at her disposal. She even has an armor that could deal with Ilios. Like, so it would like at the very least either make Urza less weak to it, or it would like diminish its effects by like 50% or something like that. So even if Andrea did use Ilios, it wouldn't be that great. Um, or it wouldn't be that beneficial. If the thing about Urza is that she has a vast arsenal, but like it can kind of get to a point where there's only like one option for her, kind of in the same way for Andrea when she had to use this armor here specifically, right? So the real question is, what armor would Andrea or would Urza use for each weapon on she has? In terms of attack potency, I think Andrea's ass gear is probably one of her stronger weapons. If we're not including Norgiri, I actually think if she uses Norgiri, she low-key just wipes. Like, I feel like that's fair to say. Um, so I feel like if Urza, so if like there's actually two routes Urza could take. Urza has the Lightning Empress armor that reduces like lightning damage, and then she also has the Adamantine armor that reduces just overall physical damage, right? So if Askir is Andrea's like most destructive weapon, there's something that Urza has for that, right? If we did it like sort of like base weapon to base weapon, Urza could use the Heaven's Wheel armor, and then Andrea would probably use Muramasa and then use the scale, right? Um, I feel like Andrea can deal with that though. I feel like Andrea can deal with that though. He said, I mean, both had bad childhoods. The thing is, we don't know about Azam's. Both lost Leo. Azam lost Joanne. Shay lost Bjorn. Both lost Lewis, but Azam was closer with him. But Shay didn't remember his parents or know about his brother till long after it happened. So I just counted stuff that impacted him in that moment, which is disingenuous because he was riddled with pain up until he got Ilios. That's like a physical trauma that he's had his entire life. You can't discount that, right? Because and that involves his parents. And while Shay doesn't remember them, the fact that that situation just coincides with his pain loss. That by itself puts a big gap in between them, in my opinion. You know, unless you're just counting mental trauma, which like I said, it would be just disingenuous. It wouldn't be fair because like that's like a pretty big part of his character for a time being, right? It doesn't seem to affect him from certain moments, but like I mean, it's made a point. Like he was coughing up blood as a kid, so nah. I'm putting Shay above Azam any day. That's just me though. Now I'm biased. I remember when Natsu in season one learned to grab stuff with his flames and it was never used again. I actually thought about that recently. It's been a minute since I watched that part, but yeah, he literally grabbed the bridge and then he never like manipulated his flames in that sort of capacity ever again. Including Shay, I think Lewis has had the best writing of the Wolf Cubs. The last show shall be the first Sentinel stuff was really well done, I think. I agree. It's one of my favorite moments in the season. Yeah, I'd say that. I'd say it's one of my favorite moments in the season. We can say Azam had a bad childhood because Shay said they all don't come from good homes. But Lewis a clan head, like I don't know why he lied to us like that. So we don't even know really how bad all their childhoods were. We just know they're all orphans. I'd still put Shay over him. Yeah. But Shay lost Leo, and we don't even really know what happened to Elsa, but we can assume he also lost Elsa to some capacity. And then he doesn't remember their parents, his parents. But he was left on their doorstep, so I mean, he remembers like I feel like he remembers like that moment. He doesn't remember their faces. Like I think it seems like everything like before that he doesn't remember. But that wouldn't discount his pain, since you know he coughed up blood. All right, back to this though. Urza does have a speed-oriented armor too, so Elliot is kind of like matched in that regard as well. What's another weapon? The defense thing, she wouldn't need to use that unless Urza herself went on the offensive. So, and then, in my opinion, if we give her Noro, that's her best bet. Oh, she also has a Tori Jero, but like I don't know. I feel like on Urza could kind of just get through that. It's kind of like Urza's Heaven's Wheel. Like she just has weapons over it. I mean, Loki bro was kind of happy as a kid after his parents left. Sure. This fight's kind of odd because they kind of have matches for each other, but Urza's arsenal is just bigger. And if we include like scaling, I'm not really sure how. I don't know Andrea's accurate scaling enough, but I also don't know that for Urza either, right? So we just put them kind of like at a base level together, like make them relative. I feel like I would lean toward Urza because her kit's better, right? But if Urza used the freaking, I think it's called the Crimson Blade or something like that, where she uses this fit right here, And then like Andrea used this version of Muramasa, I give it to Andrea, because Andrea has more attacks that she could do as opposed to Urza, who's just kind of wielding a really strong sword. But this one could go either way. I want to know what y'all think about that one. This fight's kind of scary. So here's the thing. Even if we said they were even, so if we said they were even, this makes Minato has some of the best reaction time in all of Naruto. That's like one of his major things. And because he can react so well, he can teleport really fast. Right? He can teleport really fast. The thing is like, you know, like, and this is gonna be a live Minato. This isn't even gonna be reanimated Minato, because reanimated Minato would have more speed. Not saying he'd be faster than Sabito, but he would have more additional like speed and more additional reaction. I'm kind of going off the fact that these are all even because I don't fully know where every character scales. I think Minato is one of the characters that's obviously FTL. That would also like they'd be fast or as fast as each other in that regard anyway. But Minato just has a naturally high reactionary speed, especially in his own series, right? The thing that Minato lacks the most is attack potency. Outside of the raw Sengon, and Minato, with Hisame's help, could for sure block that. Like that's almost undebatable, right? So this would be like a sort of hit and run thing. Minato tends to start a fight with like a one shot attempt anyway, but if Sabito or Hisame could react to that, it's gonna go to like a sort of like teleporting around, you know. At some point, genuinely, at some point, I think Sabito would catch Minato in something, right? Because if Minato scatters like the kunai across the field, I don't think Sabito's ice would affect it unless he attacks him directly, like unless he like cuts them or destroys them, or you know, I think if he uses the frozen Little Lake, it doesn't do anything but just kind of disrupt where they might be at. But I don't think if they were to freeze, it would do anything to Minato being able to teleport to them, right? Hondro versus Rokash. I give it to Hondro because the potential implication that he could bypass Rokash's armor. The potential implication of that. If not, though, I'd still kind of give it to Hondro. I think he could react to Rokash's slashes, which is his most like lethal move. Yeah. There's another fair point to discuss here. So Minato also he's not durable, and Sabito should have rock armor. So even if Minato can get past the, you know, like the ice, or you know, if like Minato made or Sabito made a weaker ice wall, Sabito should be coating himself in rock armor. No, unless he's not, you know, for whatever reason, you could make that argument he might not be. But I think he would be. Mango would be pissed. Mango would be alright. Mango will be a-okay. I feel like it's fair to give this fight to Sabito because Minato can't damage him as effectively as he would want, as he kind of needs to, right? Whereas Sabito has effective aerial coverage of the entire battlefield, and he has great attack potency. So no matter what, he can damage Minato. If he's able to catch him. If you think he like can't, then Minato's stamina or Sabito's stamina would just outlast Minato anyway, right? Right. But if it never comes to that point, Sabito should be able to kind of surprise if he can guess where Minato would teleport to, kind of like the Raikage tried to. There's a good win con right there. this can also be a 2v1 fight, so it wouldn't just be Minato, it would also be Hisame, and Minato cannot damage Hisame, so there's that. There's that added surprise. Um, so I would give this fight to Sabito, and I think it would kind of come to a point where his endurance would just outlast Minato's. I feel like that's fair to say. I'm gonna skip this one because I don't know him. I don't know him. I think he's from One Punch Man. I don't know him. I feel like it's fair to just give it to Azam anyway, in my opinion. Just looking at like the picture and images he uses, like the kit, like he doesn't know rock armor, but his durability should be enough to kind of trump these, in my opinion. His natural durability from being a haste user. I feel like Azam's weapon and his speed could kind of allow him to disarm this guy, the sword, you know. So I might give it to Azam just off vibes. I feel like that's fair. I don't have anything to say about this one. I don't have anything to say about this one. I'm gonna give this to Vale, but I don't know this guy's kid. I feel like his kid's crazy, and it wouldn't be very fair to him, right? And then y'all said it was Shay versus Escanor. I don't know why I just like auto cuts, but I would give it to Shay. Escanor really only has like a set window to be quote unquote greater than Shay, and it doesn't last long. And even then, Shay has rock armor, which is essentially being double coated because of the chi of Ilios and the chi of Thanatos, right? He has Zahara, which can boost his flames. If you wanted to like make it equal, that would mean that. Wait, does Escanor use magic? It's like, is their power system like fueled by Escanor's abilities? If so, then Shay could burn. Shay could actually, yeah, just equaling it out. Shay could technically just burn Escanor's flames, like his flame abilities, like not attacking Escanor himself, but he would just cancel out his abilities through that. If you didn't want to use that argument, there's potential to say that Vinter could like kind of protect and block some of those attacks. But Shay's also just fire resistant anyway. So, and then there's also the shield, and then there's his state. So like Shay can be stronger for far longer if it was equal. And then I feel like even then Shay's kit at a base level compared to Escanor's isn't big enough, right? Sunshine is magic. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Escanor's cooked. Azam is faster and has a better kit. Sound is just fast. That's funny. Let's look at this one. I don't know about the nodeless one though. Okay, fire users and their chances against Shay. Let's see how accurate this is. Endeavor, 2% chance, has no feat to contest with Shay, gets outclassed in every category. I like his editing, I really do. I agree with this, he has no chance. 5%, no way to beat Shay, but has invulnerability, might pose a problem to Shay. If we equal the verse and say that like whatever makes a devil fruit work, Shay could either burn Ace no matter what, or you could say that like chi based attacks would work on Ace, right? Like raw chi attacks, I guess, like, or things created from chi potentially. Like Vinter's ice could in theory hurt Ace, but you might not be able to say that because there's no hockey there's no like sort of hockey adjacent to the ice of the attacks. It's just made from chi, right? Yeah. Escanor has nothing on Shay, gets outclassed in durability, speed, and hacks, but strength can be argued. That seems fair, but yeah, we already talked about this. Escanor can't win. Escanor has like a singular window for him to be stronger than Shay, but Shay has a state that amps him for far longer, and he has more things to pull from. If you want to argue fire resistance versus fire resistance, Shay should be able to destroy Escanor's abilities with whatchamacallit, with the purple flames he has now. And then you could also argue that the ice attacks are cold enough to kind of bypass his heat, right? Though that can be argued, but Shay should kind of clear. And then the thing about it is like I'm trying to keep them on like a even field, but if Shay chooses not to use fire at all, like he did against Rajani, Zahara would just cleave through him. Like I feel like you can't argue against that, right? There's no real argument to make against that because it'd be that plus Shay's amp plus his or like plus like in just his natural swinging, and he's just kind of cooked, right? Shay might use Venter against him. I don't think he would because you could argue the ice would be melted. But that doesn't stop him from using it as an offensive weapon, like just a blade, right? It doesn't stop that from happening at all. Rock armor could be equivalent to armament hockey. Also true. That's also true. That's a fair point. I just didn't want to make that assumption because we don't know if Shay uses like the rock armor coating on his weapons as well. Or the natural chi that comes from weapons that's produced by it would also like equate to like to that essentially. But I agree. Only massively faster than Shay. How fast is she? Do y'all know? How fast is she? Because I don't know how true this statement is. I haven't watched Black Clover, and I don't know how their scaling gets. I know she can turn into like actual fire. Purple Flames kind of neg, but outside of Purple Flames, you might be able to argue again for Venter. If not, then you could also argue Shay would just outlast her. Shay would just outlast her in my opinion. He also has better durability. His arrogance will be his biggest downfall. He'll underestimate him while Shay won't hesitate. That's also true. What's next before we get back to this one? Yamamoto. It's interesting. This is actually probably like the biggest issue actually. Yamamoto's kind of cracked. That's actually fair. The percentages is crazy, but that's her name. It's a good one. It's a good nickname. Y'all let me know about this one though. I can get into the next one. But y'all let me know about this one because I don't know how fast she is above Shay. Because Shay should be light speed, and honestly, he should be faster than light at any given moment, right? But also, he can become faster in his state, right? Oh, you know what I haven't talked about? I haven't talked about Sun through Moon. I don't think Escanor doesn't see himself as a god. He actually sees himself as just pinnacle human. And I don't think that Shay would use that technique unless they essentially exalt themselves, like I mentioned in the review. So it doesn't seem right for me to say that he would use Sun through Moon, but it's an option. And I'm not sure would anybody else on the list, like from like before her and like at her, I don't really know what they're gonna do against all of Ilios at once, right? Like all of Ilios at once. If he's able to hit it, right? If not, then that's kind of cooked. But and the thing about that is, on top of that, is even if Shay can't land something Moon and he doesn't have use of Ilios anymore, he's still naturally resistant to fire. And now he's just working with his base level chi or his body's chi endurance, And he still has like a nigh infinite amount of chi to work with, right? So there's that. But but I don't know how fast she is, so I don't know how true this statement is. I feel like Shay has a chance against her, but I haven't really watched I haven't watched or read this in a while. I do know she can turn into like raw fire with the Wizard King, but like Shay was able to kill multiple god tier with one large Tomas. Like that statement don't do a lot for me. Essentially, you also didn't really answer my speed question, but essentially, if it came down to it, Shay would probably outlast her at the most. I'm gonna just say I'm gonna leave it right there. I'll leave it right there. 30% is kind of crazy. Okay, so Yamamoto. Higher strength AP and experience can be argued. Experience difference cannot be argued. This guy's 1,000 years old. He's as old as he actually might be older than Veil. He's kind of like, especially in his Bankai, his attacks, or at least no. His Bankai, like the blade, it's like if Shay used Sun through Moon all the time. Like just if Shay focused everything that Sun through Moon is capable of into Zahara all the time. That's essentially what his Bankai does, right? So I'd argue that Bankai would probably just cleave Shay. Not gonna lie. I'm gonna be honest with you. Higher strength AP. Definitely in Bankai for sure. I don't remember. I think the Seirete is like a. It feels like it's as big as a city or something like that. I don't remember how big it is. But I don't remember if it was just his Shikai that took all the moisture from like the air or something like that, and then either in the entire Soul Society or just a Seirete. But that's a pretty crazy feat that Shay technically hasn't done. I guess not that he can't, but it seems more like that seems like a higher version of Shay that's like uncontrolled, right? But Shay keeps all his heat internal, so there's also that. There actually is that point too, so you may be able to argue that Shay could replicate that if he released his heat like externally, like all the time. But Yamamoto also has the capacity to make everybody he killed like fight with him, and Shay could probably cleave through them. But now he's just like wasting stamina fighting people when he's not fighting Yamamoto. I do genuinely think that the Bankai Yamamoto has would leave damage on Shay. Like take an arm off in a general sense. This might be actually the hardest fight. This should be the hardest fight here. I'm not really too keen on full scaling for these characters, but just keeping them even. I really feel like Yamamoto's Bankai is specifically because he also has like that flame coat one that kind of would work like rock armor but with fire. And then, like I said, his blade, the entirety of his heat is just focused at the edge. And I feel like Shay can't fully overcome that. Even with his heat resistance, I feel like we wouldn't overcome that, right? I feel like that's fair to say. So that one could go either way. I might lean more toward Yamamoto, but I'm not entirely sure. What's this last one? Oh, Benimaru. Higher strength and speed. How do y'all feel about this one? Benimaru is actually very interesting. Very interesting. The reason Benimaru is interesting is because he can control fire from others, and like he can control fire and create his own, right? So you could potentially argue that the flame Shay used would just be ineffective because he could kind of counter them, right? In activation, it evaporated oxygen. I don't know about the higher strength and speed. I'm not sure about that one. Honestly, I'm not even sure about like the Benimaru's planet level, I'd argue Shay can be as well. Shay's defensively moon level, but the implication of Sun through Moon is honestly also planetary in my opinion. So they would be, I guess at their peaks they would also be planetary. However, I'm not sure how the fire kinetic abilities work. I don't know if it's like an internal energy source or if it's like a biological thing. I don't actually remember. Because then you could argue purple flames. You actually could argue purple flames against Yamamoto too. But that's too easy. You could argue purple flames against him. But which he might actually be able to sort of like redirect those as well, if that makes sense. I don't think Shay's own flames would affect him, but I do think Shay potentially not being able to hit Benimaru with the purple flames is a big problem, right? So I don't talk about Ventur a lot here. Does Ventur even have like the capacity to help? Because the ice can just be melted. Like Ventur is not Hisame, the ice can be melted potentially. So Ventur wouldn't really help here. I don't think I'm not sure. I don't think Shay would be able to land a Sun through Moon on him. If he did, I think he's cooked. But I don't think he'd be able to land it. That's just me though. Maybe the Eye of Time could help. The reason I'm not talking about the Eye of Time is because Shay doesn't have it. The current Shay doesn't have it. She doesn't have access to it, so I'm not bringing it up. Right, that's why I'm like kind of leaving out the purple flames, but also like bringing them up of some sort of win con. The only thing we have comparable is Shay Tomasing GTs and Sun through Moon. The thing is that Tomas kind of has that attack potency all the time. Like all the time. Right? To me, it was more of a size difference as opposed to a damage potential difference. So like, but yeah, Benimaru, like he can create a zone where like the heat attacks that tried to hit him they like got reflected, and there's nothing really that Shay could do in against that. So then if the fire doesn't work, like if fire doesn't work and if we're not using purple flames, it would just be a battle of like hands, and Benimaru has some of the best hands in Fire Force. And that would be more interesting than a sort of heat on heat battle, because it puts into test Shay's actual combat ability, overall combat ability. I think both of these characters could catch the other off guard with straight hands. But Shay has bladed weapons as opposed to Benimaru's just like fists, and I think that can give him a natural edge. Shay also has the shield, so those make me lean more towards Shay in that regard. But I don't think in terms of heat that Shay could do that much. Like he could do that much, especially if he uses the little I think he called it was like moon or something like that. The little like moon move where like the radius within like I forgot the distance, but like nothing could hit him. Like nothing could hit him. And I don't think Shay could do anything that I don't think a Tomas would affect it. I don't think a heat blast would do anything. If Shay tried to charge up Sun through Moon while Benimaru just stood there and thought he could like deflect Sun through Moon, I think Benimaru would die. Do you think Benimaru Flame could affect him? That's another thing. I'm not really sure if Benimaru's heat is comparable to Ilios's, right? Crimson Moon, is that what it's called? I'm not too sure. I'm kind of going off the idea that it can. I'm mostly going off the idea that it could, but I'm genuinely not sure. Shay started as an MMA fighter before he got back his Kimyo powers. Shay got hands. Shay got hands, brother. Did you not hear what I said? But Shay also uses more weapons now, so I'm not taking into account his just his hands. Shay uses weapons in every instance. Shay hasn't used his hands since Shay hasn't fought with his hands since the Rokash fight, basically. Actually, that's not true. But in every fight, even after Rokash, he uses a Kontio. He uses a Kontio against the old nigga, and against and when he trains against whatchamacallit. And when he trains against Bjorn. And I'm thinking of somebody else. He even uses it against the Iron Gaki. So like, yeah, Shay has hands. Like, he has like combat experience for sure. You talking about the moisture? I know. So yeah, Shay has hands, but he also uses bladed weapons, and like, there's really nothing that Benimaru could do to defend against a literal blade. Like, it's not even made of fire. Like he can't defend against it the way he could against Arthur's plasma sword. It's just a bladed weapon, and it has durability comparable to Shay's own flames and chi. So there's nothing that it's not like Benimaru could burn it, you know. So I think if Shay is using like if we go off the assumption that their heat wouldn't affect each other, if Shay's heat can't affect Benimaru to a certain capacity, or Benimaru can control the flames that he emits, but Benimaru can't also damage Shay with his fire, and it comes to just straight hands and blows. I think Shay would have the overall advantage because he uses bladed weapons, right? Like, he would be able to do more damage than Benimaru could do to break him, right? There's also the, rock armor debate. If you think like Benimaru could get through his rock armor with just hands, probably not. Now, I'm not sure about like what he said, higher strength AP. I don't know why he just doesn't put AP instead of strength. I don't know why he just doesn't put AP. Higher strength than AP and speed. I'm not sure about that. I'm trying to keep the characters semi-even just to kind of avoid that sort of like debate, but I don't really. I know he can scale to light speed because of Shinra. I'm pretty sure. And I know he's planetary, and like most of the characters are like planetary, like the higher ends are planetary to a certain degree. But like so is Shay though. So, and then another thing that I actually am not really considering, are we considering Shay's only as strong as Benimaru in terms of like planetary destruction in his state, or do we think there's a base level there as well? Because that kind of changes it, because Shay just would be stronger than Benimaru if we think they're the same, right? If we think they're the same in base, Shay's state would give him a better advantage, and then there's also the fact that wait, no, I just made that point. Oh yeah, but then they also, like I said, if we took a sort of literal interpretation of their scaling, Shay should technically be faster than him. Technically, I would say he's faster than light as opposed to at or faster than light speeds, like, right? I think. But keeping it more even, Shay could be stronger than Benimaru if we are saying that they're only relative in Shay's base as opposed to his state form. I'm kind of okay with either interpretation, but I do think Shay's arsenal, like Echo Ronan just said, would kind of put him in the advantage. Natsu loses. So I'm not gonna lie, Natsu loses. Natsu can eat fire, yes, but you know what? I have been neglecting the blue flames because Shay only uses them when allies are around. So he doesn't need to use them, I guess, essentially. But you may be able to make an argument that the blue flames either can't be manipulated because their intent is to destroy their target, um, and preserve allies, but that's a little bit of a reach, right? Natsu loses. Natsu loses though. Natsu is a very inconsistent character. He can kind of withstand certain abilities, and then he can also be damaged by certain things. We also know, I also know for a fact because I watched it recently, Natsu can eat fire that isn't his, and he can eat things that aren't like related to fire, but it isn't beneficial for him all the time, right? Um, so he could, in theory, eat Shay's fire, and it would power him up. But if Shay used the purple flames, it's actually going to literally damage Natsu's magical ability, and there's nothing he can do against it. Like, he would essentially be eating anti-magic, and that would almost kill him from the inside out, right? Um, there's also Natsu. Natsu's not like a horrible fighter, but I feel like Shay's just a better fighter. Like, I think Natsu's even now is like the same age, kind of throughout the series. Like, yeah, he's imagine eating purple flames would basically be like food poisoning. Exactly. And the thing is that Natsu has technically done something to that. He's eaten black fire, and it didn't damage him, but it just wasn't beneficial for him, right? But Natsu was able to kind of get rid of all the fire in his own system to be able to consume that fire, right? And then he was able to like adapt it, right? So you could argue that he could do the same thing, but eating purple flames would literally take away his magic. It would burn his magic from the inside, and there's nothing he could do about it. We also, I think Natsu can be damaged by ice. Like so Ventur is actually very viable against Natsu. Like, Natsu and Gray have fought a lot of times, so if Ventur is on the level of Gray's ice in any capacity, and even above it, there's nothing Natsu can, like, Natsu won't be able to burn the ice, basically. Like, he won't be able to burn it definitively to the point where it won't be usable against him at all. So Ventur's actually a very good option. The thing I'm mostly looking toward is their flames. I don't think any of Natsu's attacks would affect Shay in any capacity, in my opinion. There's also the lightning flame dragon mode that Natsu has that could make him faster definitively. I forgot what E and D Natsu does. Ethereal Natsu Dragon, I know he's just stronger. Natsu has also like burned a time, but I don't think he's done that since he did that against his brother. So I can't even really count that because it wouldn't, like, he wouldn't do it again, basically. Like, not like, it's not consistent. Whereas you can argue the Sunfire of Ilios is either above or below the Dragonfire of Igneo, right? But like, it's the sun, like it's the sun. So you can argue that Ilios's flames could actually damage Natsu. Though again, Natsu could just eat his flames and then it wouldn't matter, and it would just power him up. But Shay can also grow stronger with his state, and if you think like they're comparable in Lightning Flame Dragon mode to a War State, Shay just has a more damaging kit. Like, he can actually damage Natsu's body. Natsu can also, or Shay can also reinforce his body with rock armor. So I don't think Natsu's really getting past the durability aspect with just base punches. She also has a shield, which we know can kind of deflect something like Jose's blast. So I don't think Natsu's kit on an even level really does anything against Shay. We can argue, or you can say, he eats Shay's flames all day, but then Shay would just stop using his flames, and then he'd switch to using just Zahara and Ventur. right? And Natsu won't eat ice. Like he's like not like it's likely that he won't eat the ice, right? He'll try to break it, try to shatter it. But if Vinter is like comparable to Gray, especially the Demon Slayer version of Gray, then the ice is just gonna damage Natsu, right? Yeah. And then, unlike Shay's fight against Rajani, Shay's conservation of his flames will only prolong his state. So it's likely that Shay will, even if we think they're even in any capacity, Shay will just outlast Natsu. I feel like that's fair. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Shay. I feel like I'm gonna give it to Shay. I feel like he's better equipped to deal with Natsu, because if Natsu can eat Shay's flames, not Shay can just switch his combat style. Like he'll just switch to Vinter, and if Vinter isn't effective, he'll just use Zahara. We can, like I said, we can also just say that if Shay wants to burn him from the inside out, and burn all his magic, he could use the purple flames. Vinter is just a really strong axe. Yeah, but if Vinter is in any capacity comparable to the other weapons in Fairy Tail, it's not gonna break, and Natsu's not gonna break it, right? Unless you say Natsu's strongest attack when hitting Vinter is comparable to Sun through Moon, which I wouldn't, in my opinion. I wouldn't say that. Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Like, I don't think of a Fire Dragon Roar is stronger than a Sun through Moon. So the actual blade, the actual axe blade itself isn't gonna break, right? It's more so the ice that will come from it. Like, what will the ice actually do? Because the axe can for sure damage Natsu. Like, that shouldn't be debatable at all. It's a bladed weapon against a nigga whose durability is like, Natsu can be damaged, right? We've seen him take beatings, right? They don't. The thing about Fairy Tail characters is that they don't take like, they don't ever like really cough up blood or anything like that. But we know that like Urza can be burned and get frostbite, so damage can occur to them. So for sure getting axed. Veil did crush an axe with one hand. Yeah, but that's Veil. But my main argument is that, well, actually, I don't see Natsu doing that at all. But my main argument is the ice, the actual ice that will come from the axe, as opposed to the axe itself. It's like essentially just element switching. Like, okay, if fire doesn't work, let's see if ice works. And if the ice is comparable to Gray's in any capacity, it can damage Natsu. And then Shay just has something that can definitively damage him in terms of like elemental and bladed weapons, right? And then if Vinter doesn't work, he can fall back on Zahara. And throughout this entire time, Shay will just have his shield to block more attacks than Natsu will be blocking with himself, right? Because Natsu will be blocking with his body and his arms, but Shay will be blocking with the shield, right? And then coming back with the weapon attack, right? I'm gonna give it to Shay. I'm gonna give it to Shay a little like confidently, in my opinion. I feel like there's more things you could say about Shay's arsenal as opposed to Natsu, though I'm not done reading. I'm not done watching Fairy Tail. All that's out. Vinter is stronger, or at least depicted stronger in Shay's hands. I agree. I actually said that, so I might be back, but if not, y'all have a good night. I see you, Sandman. You think Natsu is Veil? That's funny. I think this is the last one though. Okay, wait. Greatest weapon? What do we talk? Wait. Greatest weapon. What does that mean? How's it backwards? Okay, performance ranking. Fastest characters in Ordeal. Okay, he put him at 7th, and then he put Azam. This is actually accurate. This is accurate. So far, this is accurate. Current Azam is faster than Rokash. Jin should be faster than Azam. Shay should be fast. Shay is faster than Azam, or than Jin. The Child Gaki above Shay. When this came out? 9/13. When did whatchamacallit come out? When did this come out? What episode is that? Okay, so this is the problem. This came out in August. This will be 8, right? No, this is 9 actually. This is 9. Am I tripping? Yeah, 10, 11, May, June, July, August, September. Why does this feel off? Oh wait, we had that break. That's why. So yeah, okay. So this came out in August, right? He posted this in November. So wait. Go back. Fast Pass got prime slander material for this topic, the fastest. So yes, okay, so up until like this point it's accurate. But Shay is as fast as Abijah. Shay is as fast as Abijah in base. No state boost. So he should be as fast, like at his max, he should be faster than Abijah and the Child Gaki. Right? He should be. He put them both at number 3 though. So, you know, before you go, wait, before you go, would it be possible for you to pray for us? Me? I mean, I'm not going anytime soon, but sure. I'll give y'all a quick prayer. Vatic at number 2, and then I'm assuming Kevin at number 1, right? Yeah, okay. That's kind of fair. I don't fully disagree with that. I would put Shay above these two though. I would put Shay above them. It makes sense even inverse, like from a talent point of view, to put Shay closer to Vatic and Kevin than it does under Abijah and this random fucking Heart Clan child, right? It makes more sense. Than not, right? You can have both of them at like 4, but I would put Shay above both of them, especially at Shay's max, because Shay was able to reach where Kaguya and Vayal were at the same time as Abijah. So Shay should be minimum 3, exactly. So like, even if you wanted to argue that Shay or that Abijah, like, if Shay moved first and then Abijah followed, that only speaks to Abijah's speed. But they still got there at like the same time. So, and like I said, Shay was in base. That's no Ilio state amp. So he should for sure be at least 3. Okay, what did we just look at? We looked at that one. That was that one. Okay, his top 10 Ordeal characters. This is actually a video, so. Okay, Anton at 10, Yukiko at 9, Kevin at 8. Wait, okay, my favorite so far. The list might change in the future given, okay. Kevin at 8, Abijah at 7, Andrea at 6, Bjorn at 5, Val at 4, Sabito at 3, we got Leo at 2, we got Shay at 1. Okay, I don't have much to say about that one. That's not bad. That's not a bad list. His favorite talents: Kong at number 5. We got Thanatos at number 4. We got Dothan at number 3. We got Hisame at number 2. And we got Ilios at number 1. I hate that it does that. That's not a bad list either. I think that's it though. I don't think I got anything else to like really look at from bro. I like his posts like these though. These are very interesting. These are 7 times Shay proved he's him. Riz his fiance mid battle. That's actually hilarious. Set a mountain burning for 2 days with his tears. I don't think it. Well, I don't think it was just his tears, but maybe. Path through steel just using body heat. This was cool. This was actually very cool. Transcended another dimension with his chi. This is actually crazy, by the way. I kind of hope this is a one-off thing. I low-key don't want nothing like this to happen again. That's just me, though. Shrugged off the weight of 1,000 neutron stars. I don't think they're 1,000. They're neutron stars. But this is also impressive. And the reason Shay could do this low-key comes from his body. Like Shay's actually just a cheat code. Shook the entire Kimyo world with his chi. He did do that. And then caused something. Some. But yeah. Almost good list. That's funny. We're streaming for a cool 3 hours. What time is it? It's a cool 9 p.m. It's a cool 9 p.m. I don't really got anything else to talk about, anything else to discuss. I talked about what I wanted to talk about. Y'all asked me some questions. I answered lots of questions. We had good discussions. I think I can get off the stream very, very nicely. I think the stream can end very nicely. If we want to end the stream on a prayer, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Wait. I don't know what I'm gonna eat. Lucky wanted to eat some Oreos, I'm not gonna lie. But I lucky need to eat like actual food. Let me stretch real quick. Let me stretch. I think it's a good time to end stream. Koji the God wants a good prayer. Let me get into my deacon bag. Y'all can call me Jay the Deacon. You know what I'm saying? Oh, let me see what today's verse of the day is real quick, and then if I don't really vibe with the verse of the day, I'll just do a quick like normal prayer. Okay, Psalms 139, verse 23. Search me, God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. It's a good one. All right, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I pray. Father, thank you for giving us this day, for waking us up and allowing us to breathe simple life. There are many people across the world who do not have the life I have, who may not have the life that everybody in my chat has, but thank you for continuing to bless us in each and every way you do, in each and every way that matters to us as individuals. Father, I ask you, bless everybody in my chat, everybody that is currently present, everybody that was present before, everybody that made a comment, everybody that stopped in. Continue to bless them, give them advice, and grant them wisdom in all things that they do. Lord, I ask that you bless me. Continue to allow me to even be a YouTuber, to allow me to go live, allow that all the things and endeavors that I wish to partake in come to fruition according to your will, aligning my steps with your final plan. Father, I thank you for all that I do have as of right now and all that you will give me in the future. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. That was a pretty good prayer. Now looking at this, Shay really is a cheat code for sure. He's just a big cheat code, bro. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and end stream. Let me hit that stream ending. Yeah, that stream ending. That little visual. This is still a clean visual. I know Brent drew it, but I put my little words at the bottom. Ugh. Appreciate y'all for stopping by. Glad y'all came through. Glad Koji asked me to do the prayer. That was pretty cool. I might have to tune in that one. Tune into that more often. I'm gonna go eat. Y'all will see me next week. Y'all will see me next week for sure for Sunday's video. My schedule is kind of just opening up. I'm low-key gonna have to look for a new job. I'm low-key gonna have to look for a new job or a new position. I'm not gonna lie. But y'all, hold on, let me look at when I might be live again. Still proud about that if I do say so myself. Appreciate the visual. That was a very good suggestion. Not gonna lie, it's actually perfect. All right, so today is Sunday. I work again on Thursday. I don't think next week's video will be that long. I don't think it will be that long. So you guys might see me on. I'm gonna try and do something personal tomorrow. So y'all might see me on Wednesday. Y'all might see me Wednesday. There's a chance I will stream again on Wednesday. I got some. I'm gonna work on the script on Tuesday. I got something going personally on Monday. And if the script is fully finished, and even if I finish it on Wednesday, I'll stream that day. I'll work the following day, and then I'll be working on the video for the rest of the week until y'all see me again in the comments and such on Sunday. I might also stream on Sunday again. Streaming on Sunday feels good. But appreciate y'all for coming through. Greatly appreciate y'all for showing up. Again, thank you to Koji for suggesting the prayer. That was very nice. It was very cool. I might do that again next stream. Appreciate all the chats, all the interaction with the subjects that I brought up, all the advice, all the inputs on like the subject matters as a whole. Shout out, I think it's Godtier.eyo on TikTok. Great visuals. He has some of the coolest visuals I've seen on TikTok, especially in terms of Ordeal. So shout out to him. And y'all have an amazing night. I know it's Sunday. Y'all, some of y'all might have work tomorrow. Some of y'all might just be chilling tomorrow. But you know, whatever it is, y'all have an amazing night, and then y'all have a great following day. I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one, potentially Wednesday. I think I got y'all Wednesday, but we'll see.